Want me to?
No, you got it.
Welcome to the panel. Welcome to the panel. Day 3 of the week. We are on Wednesday, the 27th of November. It was a big night in the NBA last night. The Lakers fans are going to hate us because they think we only talk about them when they're losing. And we are going to start by talking about them again. And they just lost last night to the Phoenix Suns, who had Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal back. That was a big deal for them. They were 1-6 in games without KD. They come back and win by, I want to say, 27 with Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal back in the lineup. But starting with the Lakers, Chill, are you concerned about the Los Angeles Lakers? This is now 3 games in a row in which they've lost, and 2 of them were blowouts.
100%, Mars. Their defense is atrocious, more than anything. And it starts, we actually had this conversation yesterday. It actually starts with Anthony Davis. The communication on defense has been abysmal. The switching, the foot-to-foot action, nothing is there whatsoever. That game last night, it was decided in the third quarter. You have Rui dealing with Devin Booker. Because earlier on, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but early on, we're basically going, we're 2 boxes trading jabs. Transition defense from Phoenix was bad. The interior defense from the Lakers, overall defense was bad. So they're just trading jabs. We get to the third quarter. It starts at about 9.5 minutes, where now we get a switch with both Rui and Nurkic. And now Anthony Davis, who's one of the better switchable bigs in the game. I won't argue that. He's switched on to Devin Booker. He switched on to Devin Booker. They throw the ball in the post to Nurkic, who now goes to work on Rui. 1 dribble, 2 dribble, no help, 3 dribbles. Now he's buried Rui underneath the basket, gets a bucket. The next trip, we got the same action going on, where we get Rui switched on to Nurkic on the right block now. 1 dribble, 2 dribble, still no help, 3 dribble, buries him under the rim, bucket again. So now 2 more trips later, Mars, we got the same action again, where now Nurkic is flashing into the middle and he's got Rui on him again. Here's the basket, asking for the basketball. 1 dribble, 2 dribble, no help, burying him underneath the basket. And now what happens is now it's an onslaught, because now you got to help Rui, which they haven't all night. They haven't helped him. Then what I have is I got Austin Reeves, who's actually competing on defense. He's trying to get around screens, but then he's one-on-one with Devin Booker on the left wing, and he can't cover him. No matter what, he can't cover him one-on-one. So Devin Booker starts frying him, and that's when the avalanche starts in the third quarter, where they just get nothing going. The switching action that the Lakers have, the communication is the biggest issue, because I can't tell you how many times I saw Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell on the same guy. I can't tell you how many times when I saw Anthony Davis in drop, what he's doing is nothing in terms of communication. He's covering. There was one specific play I remember. I remember a bunch of them, but there's one play that I remember specifically, Moss. He's in drop coverage. Bradley Beal's got the ball. He's in drop coverage. He's covering Nurkic, and I believe it's at the free throw line. D'Angelo Russell is dealing with, I want to say, the shooter. Why am I drawing a blank on this? Grayson Allen. He's dealing with him. Anthony Davis is in drop, and as Anthony Davis is in drop, it's not even a back screen. It's not even a back screen, Ox, where it's just, he kind of just got touched enough where he can still get around it. There's nothing there, but instead, he wants D'Angelo Russell to go with Bradley Beal coming off that screen, even though Austin Reeves is still on him. Now he gets a wide open look in the mid-range. I think this defense is awful. I think the communication is awful. I think the coverages are awful. That's their biggest problem. Miles, I don't know if you noticed, but they're 27th in the league in defense. That's 3rd from the bottom. They're awful. Meanwhile, they're 4th in the league in offense. They can score. They don't have any problem scoring. They just can't stop anybody. And if you think that you're going to go anywhere, not slowing anybody down, then you got another thing coming. And the most important part of this, and I'm not going to take up a lot of this segment, Mars, but if LeBron James does a worse job in taking care of the basketball, I don't know where these guys are going to go, because he couldn't have done a worse job last night in taking care of the ball than he did. The turnovers that he had, they were just awful. But I'm going to leave it to you guys.
I want to just real quick. I don't got too much to say about the game, but I do want to say this. Maybe the Suns just played really good last night.
They did.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, the Lakers have flaws, but I don't want to sit here bashing the Lakers though. I do think the Suns are, when they got their team together, when Brad's here, when Kevin's around, Devin Booker's playing good basketball, I think they're a hard team to beat. You know what I mean? Regardless of how the Lakers are looking, regardless of the decline of Anthony Davis, I do think that the Suns have a lot of firepower over there, and it's hard to match up with those guys. It's hard for anybody to match up with those guys. So while I think the Lakers could do a better job, while I do think D'Lo's a bum, while I do, you know what I'm saying, while I do think that obviously LeBron James is declining a bit, and Anthony Davis may not be the same defensive juggernaut that he was last year. I just think the Suns are a really good team when everybody's around.
So you're doing the good old the Suns won, the Lakers didn't lose. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it go both ways. You know, of course we, you know, when we do that depending on where we're looking at. You know what I'm saying? We're like, oh, the Lakers, they just lost because of this, or the Suns are good. So we could do it both ways, and both ways will be true. But I just also want to point out that they weren't playing a sorry team, chill. They were playing a more healthy Suns team.
A healthier crew. Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right. I don't think they're supposed to beat them, chill.
I mean, I think Phoenix came into this game. I think they lost 5 straight, so it wasn't like
you know
they
why.
were rolling. I do. Yeah, KD was out of the lineup. Beal had been out of the lineup, so now those guys are back in the lineup. And I feel like the stuff that the Lakers did. Now, don't get me wrong. Austin Reeves, he had the most difficult time dealing with Devin Booker, and I don't think that there's anything that they can do about that. Nothing. Whether it's you could switch D'Angelo Russell on him, you could switch Anthony Davis on him. Once he got going, they had the most difficult time with him. That's not my issue. I just feel like a lot of that stuff defensively, they could have cleaned it up, and they could have done a better job in taking care of the basketball. And Phoenix, in turn, capitalized on their mistakes. I mean, that's basketball. When you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's defensively or offensively, whether you're not taking care of the basketball, whether you're not playing defense, you're not communicating, which is what the Lakers were doing yesterday, then you suffer from that. And I feel like Phoenix took advantage a lot of what the Lakers were doing wrong. A lot of it.
Welcome to the panel, Hayes.
What's going on?
Yeah, well, welcome. Nice to have you here. You did join mid-conversation, but we are talking about the Lakers and the Suns game from last night. I'm asking for everyone's thoughts and opinions on that. So I'm gonna go right to you. What are your thoughts on the Lakers? Are you concerned about them? Do you think that they're maybe not so good?
I mean, I think the Lakers are going to be an up and down team all this year. It just depends on matchup and how well AD and LeBron are playing. Last night against the Phoenix Suns, like the Suns had 19 points off turnovers, I believe, while the Lakers had like 4. Like that's a big thing when the Lakers don't play. Like the margin of error for the Lakers against certain teams, against the upper echelon teams in the West, is very, very small. Now they're going to have to beat a lot of the teams that are below them to inflate that record. But I think overall the Lakers are going to be cool this season. But if you had hopes of them being a championship contender, or anyone had hopes of that, like it's not going to be that. But they're going to win some games, and I think that what JJ Redick has done as a coach down there has been really good so far as well.
I feel, to play devil's advocate, because I feel when you're the host, that's what you got to do. You got to play devil's advocate. The Lakers are, I believe, they're 10-7 on the season now, and they are 2-1 in the in-season tournament. Under Darvin Ham last season, after 17 games, they were 10-7, but they were undefeated in the in-season tournament. And as we know, Darvin Ham was being scapegoated, or maybe correctly maligned, for some of the things he was doing as the Lakers head coach. So are we getting to the point where maybe JJ Redick is a problem? Or, second part of that question, or are we realizing that the Lakers roster is just incredibly flawed, and maybe it's not fully a coaching issue, and it wasn't a fully coaching issue last season? Is that possible?
I think
Mars, you had it right the first time. Darvin Ham was 100% getting scapegoated. 100%. Now he might not be the best coach in the NBA, but just because the guy has his hands in his pocket doesn't mean he's not coaching basketball, bro. Right. He was getting scapegoated all the way through. Both of those seasons, he was getting scapegoated. And I fear JJ Redick might get the same treatment, but that's just a part of coaching the Lakers. You got to know what to expect when you're coaching the Lakers. When you come play for the Lakers, when you coach the Lakers, you got to know what comes with that. So I mean, we'll see what happens. But the roster is flawed. The roster is definitely flawed. Vando needs to be healthy. If he's not healthy, they're gonna have serious issues. I don't want to keep speaking on D'Lo because I don't want to sound like a hater, but they got to do.
I think you're past the point of sounding like a hater on D'Lo. I think it's just what it is at this point.
It is what it is with him.
Yeah.
But since we being honest, I think it's a combination of both. With what was going on with Darvin Ham last year, he had rotation issues, no doubt about that. He had rotation issues, and he had some questionable coaching issues. But there's a lot of stuff that he did last year that JJ Redick is doing this year. So it looked different because it was JJ Redick. I mean, the offense looked a little bit different early because it was JJ Redick. But I got to put a lot of this stuff on the players too. James got to take better care of the ball. He hasn't been. James has not been taking care of the basketball, and that's been a big problem for this Laker team. A huge problem for this Laker team, even though they are in the same space that they were last year around this time. And Darvin Ham was essentially doing the same thing that JJ Redick was doing. If I remember correctly, Darvin Ham did last year start Cam Reddish at one point. So JJ Redick did the same thing. He started Cam Reddish. I think he started Cam Reddish against Miami. He had him in the lineup. The offense is a little bit different because I feel like the ball is moving a little bit more. Now, the fact that James isn't taking care of the basketball, that's one of the biggest problems. The offense wasn't like this last year. It was a lot of one-dimensional stuff. It was a lot of get the ball to James and let him operate. That's not what's going on. When they get the ball to James, he is supposed to operate and move the ball, but he's doing that and turning the basketball over. And I think that has a lot to do with why they're losing.
In LeBron's defense, one of them turnovers was the most clear kickball violation I've ever seen, and they didn't call it in his defense. But Hayes, do you think JJ Redick is going to be scapegoated soon, and do you think it will be justified?
I mean, I don't think it'd be justified if they scapegoat him. The Lakers need to stop scapegoating coaches, if that's the word that we're using, to hold themselves accountable for the roster that they're putting out there. Like Darvin Ham is not a great head coach, right? I want to make it seem like that, but like this roster has some serious issues, and they're top heavy. There's no depth, or the depth that they do have doesn't stay healthy. So I hope that they don't scapegoat JJ Redick. That was my concern with him taking over this job. It wasn't really JJ Redick as a coach or what he could be. It was that I had a question on, are they going to give JJ Redick the time that he needs to become the coach that he can ultimately be? And while he started off the season solid, I think he came in with the system. He came in with the rotation that he stuck to, and then he pivoted off of it with putting D'Angelo Russell on the bench. But they don't need to scapegoat D'Angelo Russell. They need to hold themselves accountable and actually put out a better roster and make a tough decision out here while you're giving guaranteed money to Bronny James. That's my personal opinion.
Didn't Darvin Ham do that last year? Didn't he rotate D'Angelo Russell? He had him in the lineup as a starter, and then he took him out the lineup and put him in the rotation. He did the same thing that JJ Redick is doing now. And I mean, it was working. Was it working last year though? More than I felt like it was working this year, if I'm being honest. I did. I felt like it was working. But again, this is what the problem is with Jake. This is what the problem is with guys like D'Angelo Russell. The problem is with guys like D'Angelo Russell, and I know I sound like a broken record, but when you got one-dimensional guys who only do one thing, when they're not doing that one thing, they're pretty useless. And that's who D'Angelo Russell is. He's a guy who is, if he's not making shots, there's really nothing else you can go to from him. He's not an elite passer. He's not an elite playmaker. He's not going to compete consistently on the defensive end. He is going to play on the defensive end. I'm not going to argue that. I do think that he's going to play on the defensive end, but he's not going to consistently compete on the defensive end. He's one of those guys where his shot is predicated on how valuable he is. And if he's not scoring and if he's not shooting the basketball well, he's pretty useless.
So I think most of us at this point understand the Lakers roster is flawed from just a personnel standpoint. So what would you guys do? Like if you're Rob Pelinka, because I know Lakers fans are calling out for him to do something and take action. What would you do? And it has to be realistic. I'm not saying Gabe Vincent for Wemby. Like it has to be in the realm of possibility. So what would you be targeting? You don't need to give me a specific player, but what type of player would you be targeting in trades?
Mars, why are we doing that though? Because didn't we do that in 20 when they won the NBA championship? You blew the roster up. How'd that go? Didn't go well. Then in 21, you blew the roster up again. Then in 22, you blow the roster up again. And then in 23, you actually get D'Angelo Russell. You get Rui. You have James already on the roster. You have Anthony Davis on the roster. You have Austin Reeves on the roster. And this crew goes to the Western Conference Championship. Only problem is that they run into Denver. That's where the issue was. And then last year, same logic. Then you run into Denver again. So as flawed as this roster is, to Hayes' point, They're going to lose games. They're going to lose games in the regular season. They're going to win games in the regular season. The question is what's going to happen in the playoffs? Can they avoid the Denver Nuggets? Because if you look at in terms of matchups, do I hate them against Minnesota? Do I hate them against the Clippers? No,
Minnesota got to worry about making the playoffs first. We'll get to them. Yeah.
I'm throwing out playoff teams, but I'm just throwing out playoff teams. Do I hate them against the Clippers? Do I hate them against the Rockets? I don't. I hate them against the Denver Nuggets. And I feel like this team, I said this before when the summer started, Mars. I said to you guys, I feel like this Laker team is built for the playoffs. I don't think that they're built for the regular season. I had them as a 6-7 seed going into the playoffs. I think they're a play-in team, and I feel like matchups are going to be everything for them.
So
I don't want to bail them out with we got to flip the roster again. There's nothing that's going to save these guys. Your team is predicated on a primary ball handler who is 40 years old. That's what your team is predicated on. A primary ball handler that's almost 40 years old, Anthony Davis, who's digressed this season defensively. You're not moving off of those two guys. Austin Reeves, who actually is better and is going to compete. Rui, who's actually utilized more in transition, and I feel like he's better in transition. This crew, I think that they're going to – I think the telltale is going to be matchups in the playoffs, because the last thing that these dudes want to see, the last thing people want to see is the Lakers be the 6-7 seed, and they end up with some good matchups, and they end up in the Western Conference Championship, and here we are again.
But I think there's a large gap between flipping the roster and actually just acquiring the right player to help kind of solidify something to what you have. Like, I think you got to look at what the Lakers have as far as assets, realistic assets that they can move. D'Angelo Russell is probably the biggest one as far as the contract. Then they have a 2029 first round pick, a 2031 first round pick. Maybe they'll be willing to include, not maybe, they're probably willing to include Jalen Hood-Schifino as well to like salary. Like, that's not gonna get you a lot. But you can get maybe a wing defender. Maybe you can get one of the centers that's out there available. And I think when Anthony Davis is calling for another center for some depth help, so he doesn't always have to play center, which then can help him stay a little bit healthy, I think that does help the Lakers team potentially on a playoff run. It's not about flipping the whole roster. It's just about maybe moving some assets around to get something that helps fit your limitations a little bit better. And I think that's what the Lakers could be looking to do at the trade deadline.
Well, I can tell you right now. I'm sorry, Mars.
No, go ahead.
Well, I can tell you that it's not Valanciunas. I can tell you that it's not that. No, it's not Valanciunas. Off the strength that, to what you just said, relieve AD of some minutes. Okay, so if we're going to relieve AD of some minutes up at the 5, we're going to need a guy to defend at the 5. Valanciunas is a little bit heavy, and he's definitely heavy in his feet, and he can rebound. One of the better big rebounders in the game. The drop coverage in at the 5 spot has been less than stellar. That's not Valanciunas' strength. So that's not going to be that's not going to, I don't feel like that's going to be the answer for them. Now, could he help them in terms of getting buckets? I mean, they got one of offense isn't their issue. They got one of the top 5 offenses in the league. Offense is not their issue. They need to slow people down. And where do they need to slow people down at? On the perimeter and with Anthony Davis. That's what needs to change.
How do you feel about Jakob Poeltl?
Well, we'll get to Penn's team and what's available from them in a minute, because we're talking about what the Lakers can and can't get, but what you guys can get is some excellent content on this Black Friday. And I want you guys to feast your eyes on this, on what you have in store for you guys.
So let me argue with both of them. Go ahead and do a what? So even though, listen.
I don't want to hear
so even though last year in the fourth quarter. Am I arguing two people or one person? I'm trying to figure out how this works.
That was choice. Stay right here.
Hold on, real quick.
Stay right here. I saw Shaq in the fourth quarter against the defensive player of the year, Dikembe Mutombo, dominate him throughout that series.
How old was Dikembe Mutombo? What was Kobe when he won?
He was a high school player who we didn't know
when they went to the finals and won. What was Kobe? Was he an All-NBA level player?
When they went to, he was an All-NBA level player. Yes, he was, and so was Jamal Murray.
No, he wasn't. Hold on. So LeBron says year 3 he's an All-NBA, right? And in year 22 he's All-NBA.
And that doesn't mean that he's technology. That doesn't mean that he's still playing.
Why didn't Kareem do that? Why didn't Kareem do that?
No league has ever owned a team, and they were the owner of the team.
Why were they in that position in the first place?
The reason why they were in that position.
Stearns administration.
The reason why they were in that position.
But Adam Silver would never do anything like that.
He absolutely
would never. LeBron James makes an appearance, and you're irrelevant. What does that mean?
What do you mean,
What
LeBron?
does that mean? Irrelevant. All of a sudden, I step on the court, you're irrelevant again.
And why is that?
Because I'm better than you. What do you mean?
You wasn't better than me throughout the season.
Just so you guys know, I wasn't the only one in this movie. This movie is going to be great. These guys, Mars, Ox, man, this is a great show. I'm telling y'all, dudes. I wasn't the only one in this show. It was a great movie. Great.
The music's really starting to grow on me too. How I find myself moving my head to the music in the background. I'm enjoying it. Looking forward to that on Friday. But,
did we ever discover who that composer is that made that beautiful classical music in the background? I got my money on Vivaldi. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not.
The only ones I know is Bach and Beethoven. So if it's not one of them, then I don't know. They're the only ones I've even heard of.
Beethoven.
Beethoven.
Okay.
Beethoven. Yeah.
Is that what it is in England? Because it's Beethoven in America.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
It's the same thing. But I want to, before I get into these super chats pertaining to the Lakers game, I want to ask Penn on his thoughts on the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think you've been concerned for Penn does not want to talk. He has some background noise going on. So you guys,
it gives like a second of pause between this obnoxious construction. But before this starts again, I think the Lakers need some athleticism, man, and they need it in the worst way. Luckily for them, a lot of teams are about to tank.
Some
fire sales going on. I mean, some fire sales.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to that point. I think I'm of the belief. I think the Pelicans are gonna have some players available. I think Utah are probably gonna have some players available. I don't know if Washington even has anything you'd want, but Washington for sure. Toronto.
What about J-Val for the Lakers?
Chill said he's not a big fan of that because defensively he doesn't really help them. For me, I think you need mobility. That's what I think. They're switching everything. And the idea of switching everything is that you have guys who can stay in front of the ball and you don't have to give up drives and stuff. But they're switching things and then still getting blown by, so you have to put two on the ball anyway. And it ruins everything. So my idea, and it's not even a trade, pick up Dennis Smith Jr. He's a free agent. Pick him up. Like if you want an athletic guard defender who can pick up at the point of attack, can pick up 94 feet, can be pesky for a minimum contract. Then
what's he doing right now, Morris? What's he doing right now? Is he playing overseas? Is he in the G League? He's just a free agent. He's just chilling at the crib.
He's just a free agent as far as I know. I haven't heard about anything he's doing. But like just based on everything I've seen about his skill set, the things that the Lakers need, the only issue would be obviously he's small, he's 6'2", so he's not going to give you positional versatility. But they need desperately someone who can defend at the point of attack. And the reason, and I know Lakers fans hate Gabe Vincent, but the reason Gabe Vincent is playing is because he's been their best guard defender. That's the reason he's playing. Everything, how bad he's been offensively, the reason JJ Redick is practically being forced to play him is because the only options who can defend are Gabe Vincent and theoretically Bronny James. Everyone else can't do it. Dalton Connect can't defend. Max Christie has been at best mediocre. So Max Christie is like the only other one you could be like, maybe Max Christie could do it. You're not asking D'Lo to defend. Obviously, you're not asking Austin Reeves to defend. So
Austin Reeves competes, though.
He competes, but you're not going to have him at a point of attack. A, you're just going to misutilize him, and B, it's going to make him look really, really bad. So that's the issues going on with Los Angeles. I think they need a point of attack defender. Dennis Smith Jr. is a very low-risk, mediocre award. He's not going to change your team, but I think he's better than the options you have right now. And then in terms of trades, you need some athleticism, like Penn said. I just don't know who's available in the market in that regard.
And Penn, you just said it yourself about teams tanking. I just don't want to deal with him. But is it ridiculous for me to bite the bullet and call up Danny Ainge and ask for Colin Sexton? Defensively. Because I don't want to deal with him. I want to make sure we clear on this, guys. I do not want to deal with Danny Ainge. But what would it cost what would it cost me for Colin Sexton? Because I know Danny Ainge is going to try to take me through the ringer. Because I actually like
16 first-round picks.
You know what I'm talking about? That's why I don't want to deal with him. That's why I don't want to deal with him. That's exactly why. Because I know what it's going to cost. Because I feel like Colin Sexton could be one of those guys who can bring that energy on defense. He does compete. He can get around screens. And he's also a good rotation guard. A damn good rotation guard.
I'd look at
who
Walker Kessler.
Who do the Lakers have? Yeah, definitely Walker Kessler.
What about
you know Walker Kessler's available because of the emergence of my guy over there in Utah.
Filipowski.
Yeah,
Filipowski. He made Walker
love
Kessler
that
expendable. He made Walker
Oh
Kessler
yeah,
expendable.
oh yeah. I
Oh, the
love
big kid
that
from Duke. Okay,
man.
I'm with you. All
Yeah.
right.
But who do the Lakers have that's expendable, tradable, and that people want?
It's not.
That's my issue because I be circulating
Dalton
Twitter.
Connect. You would probably have to trade Dalton Connect.
I be
Can't
reading
do it,
Twitter.
Can't do it, man. I can't do it.
Lakers fans, this is what bothers me about fans of most teams, but Lakers fans in particular. Like Anthony Davis and LeBron James are untouchable. We understand that.
Right.
But then Lakers fans will say that everyone outside of Austin Reeves, AD and LeBron and Dalton Connect practically aren't even NBA players. That's how they'll describe them. But then they'll be like, Rui and D'Lo for all-star caliber player. Like, how can you say these guys provide nothing, but yet we're going to package them and get a very good, valuable player? That's what doesn't make sense.
I think you got to build around your superstars, and you don't have a long time left with AD. We're seeing what happened with Joel Embiid. You don't know how long the shelf life is when injuries pop up. I don't see Dalton Connect being a superstar. So I would package Dalton and D'Lo and try to see what I can get on an upgrade. Maybe a long-term contract and a defensive prospect who can help me now. You're not going to get OG. You're not going to get someone like that. But could you get an upgrade over what you have that can help your roster right now? Because, again, I agree with Cho. I think this team is built for the playoffs. Got to get there first, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm begging for Cam Johnson. That's why I'm calling up Brooklyn. Begging for Cam Johnson. That's first. That's my first call. See what the asking price is. It's guaranteed to have Dalton Connect in it, but we'll see what else is in there. What else they want. If I can't get Cam Johnson, then I think I would assume he was actually a pretty solid player to name. Anyone else? Any other wings that I'm looking at that could maybe provide some value for the Lakers? I don't know. It's kind of hard because
call up Orlando and ask for KCP back.
They're not giving up on.
They're not. Okay, so KCP is out.
Give you Davion Mitchell for free.
No,
Fred VanVleet the same deal. the same deal, by the way.
Call up the Knicks.
Y'all got a couple scrappy guards over there though, Penn.
They got like 3 guards who are like of the similar molds, but like just different evolutions. Emmanuel Quickly, Jamal Shed, and then Davion. All just really pesky defenders. I'd rank them IQ, Jamal Shed, Davion, but that's besides the point.
I'm thinking about guards on the wing who are going to compete. And my man Big Ox told me this a long time ago when I first met him. He said, "Chill, you get no 100% of the time. You don't ask, and pick up the telephone and call up." Same thing that happened last year with Milwaukee. When I said to you guys last year, pick up the telephone and call up New Orleans and ask for Herb Jones. They said no. Pick up the telephone and call up Chicago and ask for Alex Caruso. Well, I tell you what, Lakers, pick up the telephone and call up the Knicks and ask for Josh Hart. They say no. Pick up the telephone and call Chicago and ask for DeSomo. They say no. Pick up the telephone and call Indiana and ask for Neesmith. Pick up the telephone and find out. Check these people's temperature. See how they feel about these guys. Because
so just call any and everyone and hope someone gives you something.
Mars, I tell you one thing that I found out in life, and I learned this in college, and this is an actual stat. For every 3 girls you run into, one of them is going to say yes. So if you run into 9 girls, for every 3 ones you run into, one of them is going to say yes. You're not going to find that out if you don't ask any of them.
Sure, you different. 33% is good numbers.
What? That is awesome numbers.
I see you.
That's what I need to hear to know Jalen Green's efficient. That's what I need to hear.
I gotta check your temperature. So the last thing that I want to do, as a GM is miss my opportunity because Hayes might not be interested in coming off of Josh Hart. Hayes might not be interested in coming off of AO. You know what? He might be interested in coming off of AO. If you ask him, once you find out, go check his temperature and see where he at with it. And if he wants to have a conversation, next thing you know, AO might be on your roster. The only way teams are not just good. Let's be clear about one thing, Mars. The Lakers are a team that they live in Beverly Hills. They live in the big house. We ain't helping you do nothing. Just be clear about that. There are no teams in the NBA that are helping them do anything. You got to pick up the telephone and you got to call and you got to ask for help. And not everybody's going to say no. So go check some temperatures. Go find out how people feeling about other people. Find out how these people are feeling about their players today. That's the only.
It helps to dangle an asset that people actually want to get to the table.
Oh damn, yeah, that is allowed. Shout out to Pen for trying to be with us today. I appreciate the effort. 'Cause that must be tough. But let me get into some super chats pertaining to the Lakers. I think some of them are quite interesting, including this one from Avery B. He said, "We are finally seeing a noticeable decline with LeBron. His energy levels aren't always there now, even on offense. This is the lowest points per game, percentage of shots at the rim, and field goal percentage at the rim, all since his rookie season." I mean, LeBron is still averaging like 24, 8, and 9, whatever he's averaging, but away from this pure box score numbers, is Father Time catching up to LeBron? If they're in a 2,000-yard race, is Father Time about 25 meters behind now? Are they catching up?
Mars, can we have an honest conversation? They sitting on the same couch, Mars. They sitting right next to each other. We so wrapped up in James, who he used to be, right? We so wrapped up in the dude that was on fast forward and everybody was on rewind, or everybody was on normal speed, that's what we used to see in James. How much slower is James? How less sharp is he? Yes, him and Father Time are actually sitting on the same couch and they having something to drink. And he's just sitting there asking him, anytime you're ready, my man. Anytime you're ready to come home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm letting you know that right now. I'm not going anywhere. Yes, he's not as sharp as he used to be. He's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as strong as he used to be. Even though he's older and he's got that grown man strength, he's not as strong as he used to be, especially when it comes to the young guys. 100% Father Time is caught up with him. Yes.
It's quite sad. This is my whole life. LeBron's been a top 10 player in the NBA. So this is interesting to see that we're getting to the point where he might not be for very long, or maybe some people think he's not right now. I don't know, but I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's hard to notice a decline as you're watching it. And I say this about Kevin Durant. Like, if you watch someone year in, year out, it's hard for you to notice that, oh, in 2017, he looked like this, and in 2021, he looked like this, because you watched him all the way throughout from 2017 to 21, and the decline is a bit more gradual as you watch each game. Sure. But if you just watch 24, 25 LeBron, and then you just skip the 5 years in between and go back to 2018, that's when I think you really start to see how much he's really declining. Mm-hmm. And then you go 2018 and you go back to 2013, it's like, oh, wow, okay, we're not even looking at the same guy at this point.
He could be 45, and I don't think he's ever not going to be a top 50 player in the league, though. He's just that good. He's just that smart. Yeah, but I think he's outside the top 10 right now, though.
Mm-hmm.
So is Wemby the one who took his spot?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I figured we're gonna talk about Wemby a little bit later, but I think it's just I don't want to say sad because like it's inevitable, but it's just like
when you
sad is the word. Sad is the word. Like, damn, like.
Mars, you and I were.
It's not sad. He gave you 2 decades. He gave you 2 decades of brilliance. How the hell?
Yeah, but I
sad?
wasn't even
21 years.
I wasn't even cognizant like the first 8 years of LeBron's career. Like I was.
That's your problem.
So for me, it's like, damn, I didn't even get to see the full experience, and now he's declining. Like, how dare you,
bro? But, you get high def clips of his whole career. I got to watch grainy ass, black and white clips of some of my favorite players in my childhood. So,
yeah, but
Mars, that's what it was like. For me with Jordan, like I'm just now being able to watch this 98. I'm like, yo, what is this? Like, and it's well, where'd he go?
It's like that, he gone.
And then he come back, and we're like, okay, he's back, but it's like I thought y'all this ain't what y'all promised me.
Nope, not the same. Mars, you and I were talking. I think it was in Indiana. We were talking about 16, 17 KD and how he got downhill. The noticeable difference today in him getting downhill as opposed to what he was doing in 17, which was 7-8 years ago. And then you notice the decline, even though he's still good enough to get his shot off, right? He's still good enough in transition where he can dunk the ball, but it was way different 6-7 years ago. And you got to go back and watch him 6-7 years ago to see the difference, because when you're watching him in real time, he still looked like 24, 25 a game KD. So what's the deal? Same thing with James. Even though it's obvious that James is slowing down, he's still 23, 24 games. So he's still awesome. But if you go back and watch 17, 18 James, you're like, wow, those two guys are not the same. And it's not even close.
Yeah, it's a weird phenomenon. But you're seeing the decline, like guys like LeBron, guys like Steph, guys like KD. Well, I'd argue KD is the one not defeating Father Time the Best because LeBron is 40. So I think LeBron has obviously got that mantle. He's been in the league for 200 years and he's still playing really well. But I think at this point, for me, I think KD's probably the best of those three. I think. And I think his game is going to continue to age very well because Steph is smaller, so you got that concern. And LeBron is just older, so you got less time, I think. But KD is just like, this man missed 2 weeks or however long he missed, and he came back efficient. Just he make threes, make mid-range jumpers, get out in transition. Like, it's so easy for Kevin Durant. Like, I'm 1000% of the belief that Kevin Durant could not play for 2 years. He would come back and give you an efficient 25 the first game back. That's just what he does. Like, he just scores the basketball effortlessly. And I don't know if there's anything that's ever going to change that. I think KD could barely be able to run. And just off spot up threes and one dribble pull-ups, he'd get you 18 points. Like, it's just, the more I watch KD, I think the more I start to appreciate how great he is and how great he was. And I know, like, all the narratives.
Mars, top 10? Top 10, right?
Oh, since 2000? For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
the thing,
even before I was appreciating KD correctly, that was common sense. Ron just be saying stuff. Shout out to Ron.
The thing with KD though, Mars, it's like he's so tall already. He's so lengthy. His release point is already so high. He keeps the ball up here. You can't get to it. You're not. People think when you close out on KD, you're disrupting the shot. That closeout is doing absolutely nothing for you. You might as well just stand there and box out somebody. Hope he misses. You're
that
not.
Shot
You
hit on Dalton. Ox, stay right there. Ox. Keep going. Ox. That shot he hit on Dalton. I thought Dalton blocked it and was in transition. I was like, how did he miss that? And KD smacked it right in his face.
If you don't block it, it's nothing you can do. You have to block the shot.
People contest KD for their own ego.
Nobody can get KD.
People contest KD for their own ego, so they can be like, "Hey, I did my job. I contested." Knowing damn well they ain't actually going to do anything. But it's like, "Hey, you can't say I didn't close out. You can't say I didn't close out. You can't say I didn't try." That's what they're doing. They know they're not actually going to do anything, but like you have.
You have to. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys when you're getting cooked, you're looking at coach like, "Hey, I'm here." You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I'm right here, coach. I'm not just watching this. Yeah, I'm not just watching this monster just terrorize. It's like, yo, I'm accepting it. I'm here. My hands up. I'm moving my feet. I'm banging with him. It's just he's just Kevin Durant. You know who he is. You know his work. But Mars, I wanted to say a couple seconds ago is we got some good kids coming up behind him. And you know, I'm watching the Maui tournament. I'm looking at these kids in Memphis. Now, I don't know how many league guys we got at Memphis, but I'm watching what they did to UConn. I'm watching what they just did to Tom Izzo and Michigan State. Now they're in the championship of that. I was watching Auburn, North Carolina last night. See, I thought RJ Davis. I thought he was a senior 2 years ago. I didn't even know he was still in college. So I'm watching him. They got a big guy over at Auburn. Mind you, I don't know if he's league material, but Johnny Boone at Auburn.
He could.
I like that kid. Yeah, I like that kid. He even stretched it out a little bit here. And he's big. What he's 6'10", 6'11". He's a big kid. He keeps the ball. I'm watching how he's playing. He's keeping the ball up, keeping it high. He's strong with it. I like him. I like him a lot. And I know I didn't just speak on any of those top 5 kids that were used to talk Ace, Harper, all of them who are amazing players. All I'm saying is there's a lot of good basketball players coming up behind KD, Bron, and Steph. And I'm not saying any of them are going to be those 3, but we got a bright future of basketball. You know,
there's going to be 50 legit NBA players coming in next year, like John D and I. 50? Shout out to John. Yeah, at least. There's like 50 guys taking like they're going to take roster spots next year.
Right.
I don't know if 35 of them pan out, but John D and I, we were breaking down the draft yesterday on our channel, and it was like, shout outs to John D for doing that. We were talking about 13, 14 guys that could have been in top 3 contention in 2024 in that draft. And we're early into the season. There's going to be 4 or 5 guys that pop up out of nowhere. So if you're a team, you know, that's in the middle of the pack playing, and you're like, damn, I really want Cooper Flagg. I really want Ace Bailey. I really want one of these top guys. I want Dylan Harper. I want Nolan Traore. I think you're going to find excellent value in like the Ryan Dunns of the world. There's many Ryan Dunn-esque prospects. There's bigs like y'all talking about, Jakob Poeltl. There's a Jakob Poeltl in next year's draft, and he might go in the 20s. He's in Australia right now. He's playing in Brisbane, and he's 7'3". And this draft is, I am. he looks good, man. He looks mobile. He looks, like pretty. Like he blocks shots like a demon. Looking at come on, Mal to watch. It's good.
That's why these GMs have to GM. Like these guys talked about this draft being weak. I mean, we've already seen some gems in this draft. Ryan Dunn is another one, right? This is why these GMs get paid the big bucks to do their job. It's easy to find LeBron James. It's easy to find the top guys. It's not easy to find Damian Lillard. It's not. It's very difficult to find Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is not a guy that's just right in your face. No, you got to go look for him. And when you find him, you got to keep him under wraps. You got to be quiet about him. So I think that for what you guys are telling me about this year's draft, about last year's draft and this year's draft, it sounds like it's going to be night and day. But this year's draft they got some gems in them. And I don't think we're going to find out how good these guys are until later on.
The GM obviously got to do their job, chill. But I think we got to talk to the guys that really are doing it, and that's the scouts. Like my first, that was the first thing I did when I had a coaching gig was just scouting high school players for the JUCO level. Yeah, I mean, it was girls, but it was like it's nerve-wracking making sure you get that right, you make the right choice and relay the proper information to the coach. Like, hey, this is what they're doing over here at Timberline. She's she could do this, she could do that. But that scouting job, if you ask me, is even harder than making sure than the GM making sure we do the right pick, because you got to make sure you know what you're looking at.
Ox, you prime example of what I just said when we talk about Dan. Ox, you the GM of the Portland Trailblazers, and I come to you and I go, yo, I found our point guard. Okay, chill. Where he at? He's in Utah. He's at the University of Utah. No, he's at Weber State. What the hell's going on at Weber State? No, his name is Damian Lillard. You've never heard of him. This is our point guard for the next 10 years. And I think that you should draft him. Now, I got to sell you him. I got to sell you Damian Lillard on how good he is, what kind of pro he can be. But if I don't, you could lose your job, right? And that's what this all comes down to. We got to get this right. If I get this wrong, we could all be fired. So scouting is a big time job, no doubt about it.
This is going to be a draft where you're going to see a lot of people taking between 15 and 20 that are going to be starters in the league in 2 or 3 years. A lot of them are going to be that. Like there's somebody that Hugo Gonzalez. I don't know if you guys have talked about him yet, but when I tell you that Hugo Gonzalez has one of the chances to be one of the best guards coming out of this draft with his well-rounded approach, his athleticism, how well he is in isolation, he's over in Spain. I think he's 18 years old. He's been playing with adults for 2 years. Hugo Gonzalez has all the dog you can possibly want at a player that young. Now, always, of course, with players playing overseas, you always got to think how they're going to adapt to the U.S. game and whatnot. But this is a draft that there are going to be a lot of guys. I know a lot. The Ace Baileys, the Cooper Flaggs, the Dylan Harpers, they're going to get a lot of the notice, and rightfully so. But this could be a draft where the Ace Newells, the Hugo Gonzalez's, these guys come out and they have really big impacts in their rookie year.
This was a very unexpected segment, but it's great because we've got some super chats pertaining to college basketball and the top draft prospects, of course. From Pimp Named Slipback, he said, Mars, Dylan Harper is impressing me more than Flagg and Ace. His ability to play with pace, penetrate the defense, and play make is elite at his age.
Tell you what,
definitely
Pimp,
been my favorite player at Rutgers.
Tell you what, Pimp, pass on Cooper Flagg and let him turn into Larry Bird.
No, Cooper's going number one.
You can't do it.
He's not Larry Bird.
I don't agree with that either, but he's
I'm not saying that he is. This is what I'm saying, Mars. I ain't saying that he is. But what I'm saying is pass on him and let him turn into what everybody thinks he's going to turn into and see what happens.
With that being said, Pin, now obviously I'm not trying to compare Cooper Flagg and Larry Bird. Please don't think that's what I'm doing. I'm just saying Cooper got some things Larry didn't have. And Larry got a lot that Cooper don't got. You know what I'm saying? I'm just wanted to put it out there. I'm really upset like yesterday because I missed the Kansas Duke game. I got home right.
That was a game.
I was really upset. I missed that.
The thing with Cooper, like they're going to
be close to another Celtics legend though, Bill Russell.
The thing about Cooper is
he got so much on that offensive game though.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of players that are more explosive than Cooper offensively that a lot of people are going to be enamored with. But like, what makes Cooper so special is not just the offense; it's the defensive outside of Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg's a dog defensively, and again, I don't have to sell nobody on Cooper Flagg. He's going to be the number one overall pick in this draft. It doesn't mean he's going to be the best coming out this draft, but I think when we compare him to some of the other players, like there are going to be a lot of players that are more polished, more well-rounded, more explosive offensively, but it's not just about offense when it comes to Cooper. Like, keep in mind, Cooper isn't even 18 years old yet. And we're talking about him, a guy that coming into that is going to be able to guard 3 or 4 positions. 17? Yeah, he's 17. He doesn't turn
he's going to be
18 until 21. Yeah.
Bro, he grew up a Celtics fan. He's patterned his game very largely after Kevin Garnett. He's very Garnett-y. And I don't look. Daryl Morey had a rule when he was the GM of the Houston Rockets. You don't get to compare white players to white players, black players to black players, Asian players to Asian players. That you don't get to make that scouting comparison. That was the rule.
How can you not compare black players to black players?
Right.
That's kind of hard.
They better be going to hate
hard.
They
you
better
gotta
be
call
going
him
to
a white Michael Jordan then, because we have that sort of subconscious, like when you see Cooper Flag, unfortunately your mind goes to Andre Kirilenko, right? But that's such a false comparison. And that's where you end up with crazy discussions like, oh, maybe Ace Bailey's better than Cooper Flag. He's really not. But the discussion becomes, is KD not better than Andre Kirilenko? Therefore, Ace Bailey's better than Cooper Flag. But no, neither of those comparisons are true, right? And that's where the comparison thing goes. It drives people crazy, because what was Jalen Suggs compared to coming out in 2021? And what was Scotty Barnes compared to? Draymond Green was having a really tough time, and Scotty was compared to Draymond. And Jalen Suggs was being compared to like some of the most dynamic point guards in the league. Now, neither one of those comparisons is true. And that's why I think, like, yeah, you got to stop comparing Cooper Flag to white dudes, man. I think that conversation just needs to end.
You were saying, Hayes, you were saying he's 17. I didn't mean to cut you off from mid-thought. I didn't know. I thought he was 18 at this point.
Yeah, he's 17. He doesn't turn 18 until the 21st of this month of December. 21st of December. So he's going to be 18.
The first 2 months of his rookie year.
He reclassified.
Rookie year, he'll be 18.
He was supposed to be 2026 draft with AJ DeBonsa. And speaking of talent coming into the league, AJ DeBonsa going to take over the league. I'm telling you, man, like, frame this comment. Cooper Flag and AJ DeBonsa are going to save the NBA. Viewership's down. Those two dudes are going to save it.
Save the NBA feels a bit.
They are literally going to save viewership. They are going to drive viewership like crazy. Like, we haven't seen 2 players in back-to-back drafts like this in a really long time.
Or they might just increase people.
I mean, I've seen Chet and Wemby in back-to-back drafts, but I mean, I guess. Sure.
I mean, the marketability of AJ DeBonsa is going to be next level. Like, that kid's box office. Like, is not quite LeBron. It's the closest thing to LeBron I've ever seen in high school. AJ DeBonsa is great.
Didn't if I'm not mistaken, y'all dudes can straighten me out. Cooper Flag, didn't he reclassify? Like, isn't it supposed to be his senior in high school?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why. That would explain it. Hayes, why he's 17 years old, because he's supposed to be in his senior high school this year. Which, looking at him, it would probably not even make sense. Kind of like with guys in college, like, why are you in college? Like him, like, he probably was wasting his time in high school with them dudes.
I mean, Cooper Flag would have been the number 1 pick in this draft that just went. He would have been the number 1 pick.
He would have been the number 1 pick in every draft of the last 10 years.
At 17 years old.
Were it not for Wemby.
Yes.
Were it not for Wemby. But I'll tell you this much. This is how high I am on AJ DeBonsa. If Cooper and AJ DeBonsa came out in 2026, as of right now, from what I've seen, I would take AJ over him. Oh, that's how high I am on him.
Interesting. But don't forget Marvin Bagley did the same thing, and we see what happened with Marvin Bagley. So.
Yeah, but he was really good at in college.
Well, let's just hope they
don't. Marvin Bagley was more than really good at Duke. He was a beast. He was the best player in college basketball.
He was good.
I was trying to think if I disagreed, but nah.
But if he was the best player in college basketball, there's no chance in hell there was a discussion about who the number 1 pick would be, right? But there was a big discussion about who the number 1 pick should be that year. There was a discussion of 3 prospects. Yeah, but okay, like, I'm saying, like, with Wemby, there was no discussion. With Shaq, there was no discussion. With Tim Duncan, there was no.
Yeah, well, I'm not comparing him to Wemby, Shaq, and Tim Duncan.
Yeah, but Zach Edey was the best player in college basketball last year, and he went 9th. Or wherever he went. So
it happens. That's what I'm saying.
It's about how they see it translating to the NBA, and I guess they believed in DeAndre Ayton more. And
I was higher on DeAndre Ayton coming out of college than I was Marvin Bagley. I
was high on Marvin Bagley, Luka, and Michael Porter Jr. Those are my 3. But the point of that super chat was about Dylan Harper, and we spoke about like Cooper Flag. Right. Yeah, for me, Dylan Harper's been my favorite. I think he's the best prospect on Rutgers. I think he's better than Ace. Personally, I'm not very high on Ace Bailey, but you guys know my track record with wings, so I keep saying that just to put that out there that I'm probably wrong if I'm not very high on him. It's just for me, and this has been something.
What do you see in Ace? Like what comparison? Because we're seeing a lot of KD, PG. I'm seeing a lot of RJ Barrett, Andrew Wiggins, and frankly, maybe Michael Porter Jr. I don't like these comparisons. Yeah, like I don't like these comparisons to Kevin Durant because KD was like my favorite college player of all time, other than Melo. At Texas, he was like one of the best freshmen I've ever seen, and this doesn't look anything like that. His handle, his handle is bad. His handle is bad. His decision making is poor. He's shooting blistering hot percentages, but he's just so big. 6'10" with that release, he's not going to get stopped at all. But I had similar concerns about Brandon Miller, and I was wrong. So I have to acknowledge that. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe he could be great, but pushing Cooper for the number one, you got to be better than Michael Porter Jr. and Brandon Miller plus. And I'm seeing a lot of the same tendencies, at least with court processing, that I saw with guys who struggle with court processing, like RJ Barrett.
My issue with Ace is he's a very good shot maker. Like he's a really, really good shot maker. But for me, when you rely on tough shot making is 80% of your offensive arsenal, that's more bad than good, especially when you're 6'9" with his frame and he can't get to the rim in the half court. He can't get there. His handle is not functional. It's too high. He lacks any sort of like high level agility and stuff. So you end up seeing him make these crazy turnaround jumpers. And then when he makes them, it's like, oh my God, ridiculous shot. Not many people can make that. But it's like, why am I having to get a 20-foot turnaround every single time down the floor? That's not sustainable offense for me unless you're a Kobe Bryant level shot maker.
But
even then, it's like he could get.
And when was Kobe Bryant that level shot maker? That was in like year 5, right?
And even then, Kobe back then could still get to the rim and still get easy looks. Like, everything Ace does for me is difficult. Everything he does, and that's not great. And then, like Penn said, the playmaking, the feel for the game, the decision making, like. There's too many, like, and I'm talking to be the number one pick. Like, I see no world in which you could justify taking Ace Bailey over Cooper Flag just because you think the scoring upside is higher. Like, that doesn't make sense to me when Cooper Flag is clearly the better defensive prospect, clearly sees the floor better, clearly is the better team basketball player. Like, and he's younger. Everything just points to Cooper Flag being the better prospect. And then when it comes to Dylan Harper, it's like Dylan Harper sees the floor better. I think he's stronger. I think his handle is obviously much better. The only issue you'd have with Dylan Harper is how well does he shoot the ball. But like I still prefer him over Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey for me is closer to like the 5th or 6th pick than he is to being the number one pick for me. Like that's just how I view him. And Dylan Harper's really good, but I still think Nolan Traore is the best guard.
I don't think that's a bad thing. I really don't.
Before we do move on, since we are on college, I just want to apologize for not doing my job. I wasn't on my job. I was hosting and I just couldn't get it together, Morris. Shout out to the Notre Dame women's fighting Irish basketball team, knocking off USC. Shout out to Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles. Shout out to them. They did their thing. Also, shout out to the Lady Bruins of UCLA.
Number one team in the country.
Shout out to the Lady Bruins of UCLA. They knocked off South Carolina, and I believe South Carolina was on like a 42-game winning streak.
Hadn't lost a game in 2 years.
And I love South Carolina, but we got to shout out the UCLA Bruins because that was some good basketball. Kiki Rice, all the players over there, UCLA did their thing. Now I don't know how it's going to look when it comes to it. I still got Texas. I still got them Longhorns winning it all. But shout out to UCLA and USC not USC. I'm sorry, Notre Dame for knocking off USC in South Carolina. If you miss those games, man.
I think it's interesting, Mars, that we talk about Ace Bailey and Rutgers because I just remember a time when Rutgers was not the place to be. That was not a school to go to. Now they're getting the best player in the state in Dylan Harper to come to Rutgers. And the reason why I know he's the best player in the state is because the second best player in the state, Tahad Pettiford, ended up going to Auburn. And I went to high school with his father. That's the only reason why I know that. And yeah, that's the only reason why I know that. But now they're getting guys at Rutgers. They're in the Big East. I'm sorry, the Big East. They're in the Big Ten now. And that's becoming a big-time program. It wasn't that years ago. And I think it's great that this.
It's also a great school. It's all like academically, it's a great school. My uncle went to Rutgers. This is like a fantastic. I grew up a little bit in the tri-state area. I grew up in New Jersey for a bit. Rutgers was like the place I wanted to go to school.
It's the state school. It's Michigan State. That's what it is. That's exactly what Rutgers is for the state of New Jersey. It's Michigan State. It's whatever the state school, it's Ohio State. That's what Rutgers is in New Jersey. It's the state school, but none of us really wanted to go there. My sophomore year, going into my sophomore year in junior college, I was a junior college All-American. Rutgers was recruiting me. I wouldn't give them the time of day. I did not want to go to Rutgers. I didn't. I did not want to go to Rutgers.
You just wanted to get away from home? Or?
Yes. I did not want to go to Rutgers. No, Rutgers is 45 minutes away from where I grew up. It's a train ride away. Jumping on the train. I did not.
That's why you have a 33% success rate.
Boom.
Yeah, he left out the part where he's like a 6'4", All-American. That part of it that'll help you. That'll help your odds a little bit.
Yeah, I've seen some people in the chat were saying that they don't have that same 33%. So maybe Chill, the most efficient scorer in the league. I don't know.
I'm saying 33% is crazy for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like NBA players are better.
NBA players have 99%. NBA players can hit on your girl in front of you, and she'd be slipping them the number on the side.
No, but you gotta remember they probably shooting like full court shots too. So like
what I'm saying is like even pro athletes that's just not.
They're
true.
not going after busted women.
33% is just good.
They're going
anybody,
after prime real estate, Ox. Like NBA.
Well, I mean,
NBA
you call it prime real estate, but you know what I'm saying. If everybody, when the house is empty and if everybody's throwing parties at this mansion, is it really still prime real estate?
It's really not, yo.
You know what I mean?
Not.
So,
I love these analogies, man.
It's prime real estate. It's been parked on a couple times, but it's still prime real estate.
Still in a nice neighborhood, though.
It's a nice neighborhood. They just vandalized it a little bit. It's all good.
Yeah, that's all. Might have had a couple of break-ins, but it's still a nice neighborhood. And the one thing that I found out in terms of that success rate, Ox, is, and my uncle taught me this when I was a kid, told me every chick will dance. You just got to play the right song, brother. You got to play the right song. That's more than anything. That's why your success rate goes up. So in saying that, Mars, that's why the Milwaukee Bucks, that's why the Chicago Bulls would have listened. If you just come on, if you just get the GM from the Bulls on the phone and go, yo, I want Alex Caruso. Okay, that's not gonna click. Goodbye. No, as opposed to, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's the family? I like what your crew is doing. Man, Alex Caruso, he's looking really good, but I know that money, it might get a little bit tricky a little bit later. How you feeling about him these days? Yeah, I think that contract might be might be a bit much. I might be considering moving off of him. I'm not sure, but you might be considering moving off of him. Would you be interested in moving off of him? For me, I mean, is there anything that I could do to help you out? Is there anything that you see on my roster that you might be interested in? Now we having a conversation about Alex Caruso, as opposed to, yo, hey, honey dip, let's get up out of here. Let's go back to my crib. Bye. Hell no, she ain't going nowhere with you. No, talk to her a little bit. Talk to her a little bit and see what's on her mind. Check her temperature.
This is a great segue. I remember when the Raptors had the number 4 pick for Scotty Barnes, and they were thinking about what to do. And they said that one of the things that really stuck out to me was like when you have an asset that everybody wants, which was the number 4 pick, right? You get so many calls. And maybe you're not willing to move off that number 4 pick, but now you're at the table and you can talk about the other stuff on your roster. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying, like, the Lakers and any team that wants to move, they got to dangle something out there that everybody wants. It's the bait and switch, right? Mm-hmm. Let's take calls about Dalton Connect and let's try to give them Jalen Hood-Schifino and see if they can tell the difference. We'll put Dalton Connect on the plane. Jalen Hood-Schifino will show up and they'll be like, well, I guess, 17th overall pick, wrong draft. Cool. I mean,
17th overall pick in the better draft. So really
was okay. I mean, like the middle of that, was Jalen Hood-Schifino 16th or 17th? I can't remember, but basically they picked in the same place both years. They need defense badly. Would you swap right now? I understand we're all very high on Dalton Connect. Would you swap Dalton Connect for Walker Kessler just to get the upgrade and give LeBron some help there?
If that was the only way to get a deal done.
Because Dalton Connect is
doing that, Moss.
He's all right, but they're around.
I'd love Dalton in Utah, to be fair.
I'm doing it. And the reason why I'm doing it is because to Penn's point, I mean, I'm not that big on guys turning into superstars, but I think I could find a 6'7" wing that can shoot the ball. It's the bigs that rebound and play defense. Those guys are at a premium, especially young bigs. Those guys are at a premium. I think I could find a bucket getter at 6'7" that could shoot the basketball. I'm doing that. Yes, I'll do it, Penn. Yes.
I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
Now depends on. Okay, first of all, because here's what Penn did. Penn took me out to dinner. Okay, there's something else in this. This ain't just about dinner. So I want to know what else you want. What else do you want?
Now we good with just dinner. We good.
That's it. Okay, because if that's it, and then bet. Okay, bet, no problem. Okay,
maybe they want Alex Lynn.
If they want Jock Landale, we got Jock Landale. But actually, there is a trade suggestion here from Smokey in regards to Penn. Penn, would you trade Ochai and Bruce Brown for D'Lo, Gabe, and the first round pick? And then he said, "Sorry if I'm late. I hope
you want me to watch Gabe Vincent, D'Angelo Russell,
would you do the trade
and Davion Mitchell on the same team? Do you want me to have an aneurysm?
But you get
do you want me to die?
Do
you want me to pull my eyes out? Because I will. Gabe Vincent is egregious. He is an embarrassment to basketball. I have hated watching this dude play.
An embarrassment to basketball? Gabe Vincent?
Gabe Vincent is not good. Okay, I would rather watch D'Angelo Russell play basketball. And honestly, watching Davion Mitchell, I would rather look. You got it. Put that trade back up. You take Davion Mitchell instead of Ochai Agbaji, and you have a deal.
The Lakers would love to have Davion Mitchell.
Oh, so you get off Davion? I mean, Davion is that pick up full court type defender. So there's that. This is the trade, by the way, for anyone who did miss it. Ochai Agbaji, Bruce Brown for D'Lo, Gabe in the first round.
And I'll flip D'Lo to the next buyer, probably to a third team, and I'll waive Gabe Vincent, and I'll just say thank you for the first. But I'm not moving off Ochai. Ochai's been cold a little bit
of money, Mars.
I feel you, Pin.
On Gabe track. That's a little bit of money.
Yeah, but you ain't gonna waive my guy. What are we doing?
See ya. Hey, but I really feel like if Davion could get to the Lakers, that would be great. Like Davion just got to go to a team that can utilize him, and the Lakers could definitely utilize.
He's airballing open shots. Do you know he shoots
that's
like
that's cool. I mean,
bro, he shoots
that's what he wasn't airballing
contested jumpers.
He wasn't airballing open threes with us, but so I'm just saying, if he with the Lakers, I think a team like the Lakers could utilize him much better than we were able to utilize him, and much better than you guys are able to utilize him. I just think that he would be really good with the Lakers. Now, I'm not saying he turns into an all-star. He's not going to be a superstar. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying that the Lakers could utilize a guy like Davion Mitchell.
Can he be a rotation player? Forget all-star, superstar, whatever. Can he be a rotation player?
Because he was a really good rotation player with us, bro. He was this with all the stuff that you have. Okay, whatever. All this stuff that you're saying is new to Davion Mitchell because he was not as bad as you're saying.
They salary dumped him. Salary dumped him.
Yeah, because that doesn't mean he was bad. That means we wanted him as a player.
The money didn't work.
Hang on.
Because that's how it works. Sometimes somebody that's good for you, you have to let them go to get a DeMar DeRozan. So
y'all let go of 2 second-round picks and an ex-lottery pick and took back Jalen McDaniels and waived him. You gave him. You got off his contract.
That doesn't mean he wasn't good with us, Penn. That doesn't mean he wasn't good with us.
Because if he was better, he would have gotten a better deal for it.
No, here's the difference. If they don't get off that money, then they can't get DeMar DeRozan.
Hang on.
If they don't do that.
Davion was picked 9th. Franz Wagner was picked 8th. Okay. Moses Moody was picked 14th. Right? So that's the context that we're talking about, a lottery picks from 2021. Here's a question. If you wanted to get off Moses Moody, who is a very serviceable player in the NBA, but not a superstar, not an all-star. He's not Scotty Barnes. He's not Franz Wagner. He's not Evan Mobley. But he's like a rotation guy. He's a positive player. Do you think that the Warriors would have to give up 2 second-round picks to salary dump Moses Moody, or would they be looking for assets?
I don't know, Penn. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'm talking about Davion Mitchell, the Kings, and the Toronto Raptors.
Okay,
I'm also talking about Davion Mitchell with the Lakers. I don't care about, well, he was drafted by this guy and this guy. Would this team have to do that? These aren't the same teams or the same players. So you can't shoot
51% true shooting and be a low volume guard and have a spot in an NBA rotation. There are people saying that Jaden McDaniels is such an overwhelming spacing negative for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he is so much more useful than Davion Mitchell. You can't be a 6-foot guard who can't shoot.
That's not what he was used for in Sacramento. I'm talking about Davion Mitchell to the Lakers.
Look,
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
No,
Davion to the Lakers. That's what I'm talking about.
if we're staying in Sacramento, that's not what he was used for there, right? They had floor spaces in Keegan Murray. They had floor spaces in De'Aaron Fox. They had floor spaces like that.
Kevin Huerter.
And Kevin Huerter. They had floor spaces like that. He was a defensive guard. That's who he was.
Sure.
That's what he was when he
But you
first
can't
showed
just
up.
be a one-way player in the NBA anymore, though.
Well, actually, you can, but you still have to be.
Name five who are rotation players. Name
five. 6'1", a one-way player, and that one way is.
But here's the difference. But here's the difference. He's not a one-way player.
He is.
Now, and remember this: in Sacramento, him being a defender, right? Him being a defender, they were moving off of him to upgrade at other positions, and they needed the money in order to do that, which was why they got off of his money. It wasn't because he couldn't play, and it wasn't because he was bad, but because they was trying to upgrade what they were trying to upgrade in the space where they needed it. That's why they was able to get DeMar DeRozan.
There were plenty. I hear what you're saying. There were plenty of teams with cap space that could have easily absorbed his money without you having to take back a contract like Jalen McDaniels, who is a useless basketball player. For real, Jalen McDaniels was the worst player on the Raptors last year. He might have been he was one of the 5 worst players in the NBA last year. And the Sacramento Kings traded Davion Mitchell for one of the 5 worst players in the NBA on an expiring contract. It's not like he had 5 years left on his deal. They traded the expiring contract of Davion Mitchell. Can we be real about what this guy is worth right now? Because the truth is that when he was drafted, there was some upside of shooting because he shot a crazy percentage at Baylor when they won a championship, when they won the national championship, and he was good. He was really good that year. He does some stuff well. And I believe that Ox is right, that he can help the Lakers with the pressure defense. He disrupts offensive flow. If a guy is going off, you can put him on him, and he's going to shut it down. He really is. He's also going to give up blow-bys, backdoor. He's going to get lost in the team scheme. He's not going to be able to guard at the rim. He's going to lose his man popping up in the corner. When you're running 3-man action, this guy's going to get lost. When you're in transition, he's going to get cross-match hunted. He works harder than probably any player on our team. And
now, who are we talking about, Penn? And that, because again, what you're describing to me, you're describing a rotation guy, which is what
I'm not.
Be on the Lakers.
I'm not because what I'm trying to tell you is that 6 feet tall.
He's not starting. It's not like he's getting on the Lakers.
Well,
and it's not like he's getting on the Lakers. And
anytime you have a player who's not a threat to score, cannot dribble, create, cannot touch the paint at will, does not necessarily create great advantages as a 6-foot guard. The old adage from, apparently one of the better point guards in the league, Fred VanVleet, is true. You must be able to shoot. You must pick up 94 feet. You must fight like hell. That's the minimum. He can't shoot.
Well, I'm saying Davion was playing a lot better with us than he's playing with y'all. And I also think that he would play a lot better with the Lakers. I think Davion's one of those guys that he needs to be on a team that's decent for you to see, how he plays. I don't think Davion Mitchell is a guy that's just great everywhere, but I think with the team like the Lakers, who I think we can agree are better than the Raptors and have better things going on than we have going on, I think he will look very well with the Lakers. That's all I'm saying. I just think Davion's a lot better than you're giving him credit for, and that's okay. I mean, I don't expect him to look amazing with the Toronto Raptors.
Jamal Shed's looked pretty good at times. I mean, I don't know, man.
I'm talking about Davion Mitchell.
Yeah. Anyways, I would go for that trade.
I was surprised. I was surprised as good as Shed has been, considering. I mean, he was.
He's an overwhelming negative too. I love Jamal Shed, but he has been an overwhelming negative. He's like,
it's hard to be a
negative 8 box plus minus.
It's hard to be a positive as a rookie, like
on a bad team. By the way, Mars,
you can't be negative 8 box plus minus. The problem is it's hard to be positive in the NBA and actually can't shoot. That's it. It's really difficult, man. You're compromising spacing for everybody. You're undersized as it is, so you're gonna get mismatch hunted like crazy. Jamal is really strong. Davion is even stronger. Davion might be one of the strongest guards I've ever seen in my life. He's physically draining. So I understand the utility in 5-minute spurts in specialty situations. I don't like follow football, but y'all have special teams, right? Like situational guys, right? So I would see basketball similarly, where my main rotation guys are like 10 deep, and then at the 3 guys at the end of my bench preferably would be specialty guys. A backup big in case my big gets into foul trouble, a pressure defender guard, and a standstill shooter in case who can shoot free throws. Those would be my specialty guys. Davion is basically a specialty player at this point, which is he has this one ability to disrupt offensive rhythm flow. If a player who is an offensive player is getting going, I would just sub Davion on for 3 minutes and just ask him to go like hell at that player. And that just disrupts their flow. And offense is all about rhythm.
I think the stuff that you're asking that he's deficient at, like that can change. We've seen guys
He's 26.
turn into but we've seen guys turn into better jump shooters. We've seen guys turn into that. Now, he was an adult coming out of college. Yeah. But
I didn't know he was 26.
Yeah, we've seen guys become better jump shooters coming out of college. Right now, don't get me wrong. At some point, you are who you are, but I think he could be a respectable jump shooter. I do. At 6'1", I think he can be a respectable ball handler. You have to be if I'm going to be at the lead guard spot. I'm going to have to be, especially if I'm going to be a defender.
Literally ran away from him. I've never seen anything like it. He started to penetrate into the paint. I broke down the film. LeBron and AD saw him and literally ran away from him as he walked.
And allowed him to score.
He's not scoring. Scoring? What are we talking about?
We're talking about Davion Mitchell getting buckets. That's what we're talking
17% on contested shots, 36% on open shots. Who are we talking about? He cooked against Sacramento, though. I'll tell you that. Against Sacramento, he was like the best player for the Raptors. And I love that for him. I was like, get your revenge, man. They salary dumped you. Fuck, get the win, get the dub, get the 20 points. He was crazy. But you know what the craziest thing was? Sacramento guarded him like he was a really good player.
Because they
pressured him.
Because they know
that's awesome. I love that. I'm like, these guys, like, what are they doing? They were picking him up at 45 feet. I'm like, what?
They know
I don't think I would have guarded at 4 feet.
Because they've seen him play before he was on Toronto, and they know he's good.
Damn. But you know what he's great for, and players like this are great for? They're great for your practice habits. Great for your practice habits. Now, one of the things I like about Cooper Flagg is when he gets into your practice, when he gets into your practice, those types of guys, they raise the level of it, compete level in your practice. When one dude starts doing this, like what Davion does defensively, like he's pressuring, he's physical, he's knocking guys out their spot, everyone starts to do it. It's just, he's such a great player. It's just so unfortunate he's so bad. It's weird. Like, I root for the guy like crazy because I was an undersized guard. I want undersized guards to succeed. That's why I love Jamal Shed so much. It's just unfortunate because his decision making is so consistently bad. And his skills. Yeah.
Speaking of undersized guards, Mars.
Oh, you want us to talk about my team?
Since we on the subject of undersized guards.
Fred cooked.
Nah.
Mars.
Nah. Nah.
He did everything he could.
He said,
he did everything he could to lose us that game last night.
Oh, he didn't get suspended?
No.
I don't know why.
Because he didn't touch. He didn't make contact. Thank God for that second.
He did everything he could to lose us.
Wait, but Pin, so you don't think he should have got suspended for that, Pin?
What did he do?
Kelly Oubre got suspended now?
Come on.
Was the ref not a bitch? Come on.
No, the ref was right.
No, honestly,
NBA cannot allow that. As much as I dislike refs, the NBA cannot allow that.
He should get arrested for is that foul bait attempt. That's honestly, did I say arrested? My bad.
Yeah, you did.
What he should get suspended for? What he should get suspended for is trying to sell that bullshit call like he's prime LeBron James and taking a running three with the game on the line. That's what he should be suspended for. It's a crime against basketball for him to do that and then bitch about it. But calling the refs a bitch,
game,
I mean,
game and $100K for sure.
Fred's one of those dudes who has fuck you money for real. Like he has like real F you money, $43 million a year, and he's putting it to use.
Yeah,
I don't know,
you
man.
You got his $35,000 fine. You straight. Go ahead.
Yeah, but he
35. But he did all the refs. He went to all the refs, pointing fingers at. Now, mind you, I dislike refs more than anybody. But that was crazy. And you can't let other players and people coming into the league and people that watch think that that's acceptable and that the NBA is not going to protect the refs just like they'll protect the players. I personally believe that Adam Silver should have stepped in there and did the right thing because David Stern would have put his foot down.
Yeah, he might have been looking at a 2-game suspension from David Stern.
For what? For pointing at a referee who flopped? The referee flopped. Can we talk about that? The referee flopped because that camera angle makes it look like Fred VanVleet like touched his face and he just went away. And You know what I mean?
If your hand should never get that close to my face. You know what I'm saying? Like we should not have to review whether or not you touched me. It should never get to that point. Like I hear what you're saying, Penn. I just strongly disagree. Like you can't do that stuff. Like get your shit together, bro. Like where's your impulse control? You're a grown ass man out here crying. Like take your ass to the
contract here. He's in a contract.
I don't care. I don't care about none of that. Like you can't do that shit, bro. You just can't do that. That's crazy.
Before we get into that Houston game, I do still have some super chats regarding the Lakers, and I don't want to have to come back to the Lakers in about an hour, so we're gonna get through those real quick. Yep. We got one
class.
I try. Joshua Grimes said, "Happy holidays to all." He asked if we could start the show with anyone else but the Lakers. So I apologize, Joshua, but no, we were starting the show with the Lakers. But then he asked, "Why is it when players get traded or sign with the Lakers, they lose their skills?" AKA Gabe Vincent, Mr. Donuts. I think you shopped at the Miami undrafted free agent store, and you got an undrafted free agent caliber player. That's what happens. Like.
Yes, you did.
That was bad decision making from you guys. But
which
generally
is pretty
speaking,
interesting.
I think your role players do that. Generally speaking, I think your role players do what they're meant to do. I just think you guys think they're meant to be better than they are. Generally speaking, now there's some guys who just underperform, but for the most part, I think guys are probably who you think they are. No, guys are probably who they already were, and you just think they're better than they were to try and make.
So to see Gabe Vincent starting in the NBA Finals, to see Gabe Vincent knocking down jump shots, to see Gabe Vincent being competitive in the Eastern Conference Championship, and to see him getting busy with the Miami Heat, completely leaving out how flawed his game is, even as a small guard, right? His ability to pass can be questionable, right? He makes questionable decisions with the ball. Now, he's on a team that's conducive to his skill set, and they build around his skill set. And they have his game, which is conducive to the system. And it works. But now you get him on a crew where his skill set isn't conducive to what's going on. So Gabe Vincent is a primary ball handler. Well, he get on a team with LeBron James where now he's got to play off the basketball. That's not his game. That's not who Gabe Vincent is. That kind of throws a monkey wrench in who Gabe Vincent is. And on top of that, he was hurt. Go ahead, Ox. Can't hear you,
Are you
Ox.
muted?
Sorry.
Is it possible to think that maybe Jimmy and Bam make their teammates better, and LeBron and AD don't?
I think it's an organization thing more than
I
anything.
think that would be an interesting angle to try and push some hate against LeBron.
I think it's just a success tax. I think it's a success tax, right? Like sometimes you see a player on a championship team and you assume that they had a lot to do with the championship, maybe a lot more than they actually had to do. We've all seen players who underperformed on championship teams, but the team still won. Not every single player who won a championship played their best basketball or was a great player. Sometimes you have your Darko Milicic at the end of the bench, and he's not good, but he has a championship next to his name on Basketball Reference. So it doesn't mean but he walks around like he's an NBA champion. So I look at a guy like Bruce Brown, and you remove him from the context in which he won the championship, put him in Indiana, bad. Put him in Toronto, bad. Right? So it's like the further you remove him, and it's the same thing with now Caleb Martin, right? In Philly. He's been terrible. It's like he forgot how to play basketball. Gabe Vincent, terrible. So I like the idea that, it's Jimmy and Bam making everyone better. Could it be Eric Spoelstra is making everyone better?
For sure, Eric Spoelstra. But real quick though, Penn, I think Caleb would look a lot better if Joel and PG get their ass on that floor. On top of that, Bruce Brown put in a lot of work for that ring.
He's not defending.
Yeah, but Bruce Brown
actually
put in
That's
a lot of work
not true.
in Denver,
Yes,
bro.
he is.
Wait, who y'all talking about? Y'all talking about Bruce? Y'all talking about Bruce?
You're talking about Caleb Martin in Philly. Yes, he is defending.
You find him to be a good defender, like on the level that he was.
He wasn't.
Well, it's easier to defend when I got guys like Joel and PG out there with me too, though. Like my defense looks a lot better when I got my other defenders out there with me, though.
You respect the greatest rebounder of all time, Andre Drummond?
I'm not going to play that game.
Me neither. I'm not doing that neither. I'm not doing that. But Ox, to your point, like Ox, so you mean like when I got Bam behind me and I got Jimmy on one wing, my defense looked a lot different.
It looks a lot better, and on top of that, it's easier for me to guard, and my defense is much more rewarding because I know if I do play good defense, make my guy turn 2 or 3 times, and then he does get by me, I know Bam is there, so my defense is rewarding as opposed to me playing defense, and then he goes by me and I have nothing there and he lays up and I'm like, yo, how much defense can I really play? You can't expect me to lock down one player for 24 straight seconds. Like that's just Who's doing that, right? With these guys. So if I can do my job, get him to turn, he goes by me, and I got Joel Embiid at the rim, boom, doing this thing, or whoever, what I'm saying? My defense is actually rewarding. My defense shows like I'm playing deep. So I think if Caleb had Joel and PG, I think it might look a little better. But to Bruce Brown, to what you were saying about Bruce Brown, though, Pin, Bruce Brown put in major work in Denver for that ring. Yep. Major work. And
did we talk about the fact that Joel Embiid might be shut down for the season?
I don't know what the holdup is. To be honest with you, Penn,
we don't need to talk about Philly today. They didn't play.
I don't know what the holdup is, but we will.
They're not playing today, right?
No, they play us today.
No. But PG and
Joel, they're not playing. Yeah, they're not playing.
Right.
I don't think Kyle Lowry's playing either. So
as soon as this happened, as soon as I got Paul George over there, what I tell you, I told you.
I didn't like
what Paul George got to do with Joel Embiid's injuries.
What does Paul George got to do with his own
break
into
his house and break his legs?
No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about Paul George himself. I told y'all, what is Paul George going to go over there and do? He's going to be over there hurt. It's going to be the same thing that was going on with the Clippers. Paul George is running from one bad situation to another bad situation.
He's on his podcast saying they're going to turn it around.
They're 3-13, Mars. No. And you know what's crazy? Their pick is owed to Oklahoma City, protected only 1 through 6. And they are currently at the second worst. They're going to be preying on some damn lottery luck, because if they finish outside of the bottom 3, there's still a chance that OKC grabs the 7th pick off of them. So they get nothing for this terrible season. It is crazy. And that's why
they cannot let OKC get the 7th pick. I hate them.
Shout out to OKC. We can talk about them a little bit later, but a few more Lakers super chats. Avery B again said, holding the GM accountable, Rob won't fire himself. I don't think there's anything the Lakers can really do in terms of Rob.
When is Jenny going to step in and do something about this?
What needs to be done?
She's a nice figurehead.
That's what I want to know. Like
nice.
What needs to be done? Because to Penn's point, I look at Gabe Vincent, and I look at an undrafted guy who was, again, playing on a team that utilized his skill set and put him in space where he can be the most effective with his skill set. That is not going on with the Lakers. That's not. Absolutely, it's not going on with the Lakers. My grandmother told me when I was a kid, anybody can train a secretary. You can screw them up too, though. You can 100% screw them up. So a guy like Gabe Vincent, who not a super duper athlete, not a lockdown defender, and to Mars's point, an undrafted guys, they come in hungry as it is. And they're willing to do whatever it takes just to get on the floor. So if it just means me being a defender who can knock down an open shot, anything that you get after that is a bonus. So to get Gabe Vincent starting on a team that's in the NBA Finals, that's extra. That's like getting leather seats in a car that you didn't pay for. You open up the door for the car, it's leather seats. Like, oh, should I pay for this? But okay, I'll take it.
I mean, they work to develop them. They work to develop them. And yes, if we're talking about grandparent wisdom, I'll tell you something my grandmother shared with me. There's no such thing as priorities. Just one priority. You can't have two. What does it mean? What is a priority? It is the thing that comes before everything else. It is the thing a priori. That's the Latin, I guess. So what is the priority? You know, when teams get really messed up is when they don't realize that they have one priority. When the Golden State Warriors wanted to extend their window with Steph, and then they went for James Wiseman, what was that second overall pick worth in a trade to actually get you some legit help? I mean, it's worse that you crashed out and messed up the pick and it didn't work out. That's one part of it. But extending Steph's prime and giving him championship window, that should be the priority, right? Yes. Look at the Denver Nuggets, right? They're thinking about their tax bill. You got the greatest player in the NBA, and you're letting one rotation guy go, another rotation guy go, another rotation guy go. What's your priority? Because if your priority is championships, you're making the wrong move every offseason. So right now, if I'm the Lakers, I got to choose. What is my priority? Life after LeBron or life with AD? Because if life with AD and LeBron is a great complementary piece to AD right now. AD, the best player on that team. LeBron, the second best player on that team. I need to get these dudes some actual help. I can't be thinking about what's coming after this, because the minute I start thinking what's coming after this, I got to trade AD. I got to go all in. I can't be the 10th team in the conference with one of the 5 best players in the league and one of the 2 greatest players of all time giving me work, giving me actual like production, and I don't know how long this is gonna last. AD, the health is finicky. You don't know. This could be the last year of AD. Like, what if it's like the Joel Embiid thing, right? What did they do? Did they punt last season, holding on to all those expirings, trying to get Paul George? What was your priority? Right? Your priority was you have an MVP candidate who is somewhat healthy, although inconsistent and sometimes unreliable, but still a great player. You got to go it. You got to go for it. You got to go for championships. Every year you have a top 5 player, you better be going for championships. And every year you don't. If
I'm being honest with you, Penn, I think they drank the Kool-Aid, and the Kool-Aid was the coach is the issue. When I don't think that the coach was the issue, but they drank the Kool-Aid that the coach was the issue. When in reality, there was some issues with the roster. Sure, you had the majority of your core, but you had some rotational issues, and they drank the Kool-Aid that Darvin Ham is the problem. And they figured
it was the problem.
Darvin Ham is the problem.
Chill.
He was a problem.
Personnel is important.
He was part of the problem. 100%.
If you look at that team, LeBron, as great a defender as he has been in the past, I don't think he's a great defender anymore. Okay, transition. He hasn't been engaged on the defensive end other than sporadic stretches for years now. So the reality of the situation is you can't look at LeBron like Miami Heat LeBron. You got to accept the reality that this is who we have. But he's still a great player, a very useful player in the right system. If you look at that team roster construction, we're talking about Max Christie, Austin Reeves, D'Lo. Look at their rotation players and tell me, do you see a team that should be good on defense? Do you see a team that should be good defending in transition? Do you see a team that should be a really, really top-end offense? Because the blueprint for a championship, if that's what the Lakers are going for, and that's what they should be going for right now, with a top 5 player and LeBron's still there, what you should be doing, in my opinion, is trying to find a way to be a top 5 to top 10 defense and a top 10 offense, because there's no NBA champion ever that is not at least one of those things, if not both of those things. So almost every single year you can do the checklist. Is it a top 10 offense? No, probably not a champion. Is it a top 10 defense? No, probably not a champion. If it's both, do they have a top 10 player? Now we can start talking about contenders. That's the Boston Celtics. That's the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's like, who else? OKC.
Yep.
Those are the contenders right now.
Fair enough.
Houston too. But a few more Lakers ones. Marcel Sansaloni, not sure. He said the roster isn't good enough. D'Lo is a bottom 10 defender, both effort-wise and execution. Bron is having a good season, but a turnover issue. Trading D'Lo for a piece will help. The only way forward, to be honest. And then Realist123 kind of echoed the same sentiments, saying our bench sucks, plain and simple. D'Lo kills the flow of the game when he's on. No connection with Bron or AD. Vando and Christian Wood are stealing a living. Can't wait for the trade market. I think Lakers fans are losing patience with the roster they got right now. I don't know what they can do. If everyone agrees that D'Lo is bad universally, I don't expect how you.
That's where the biggest problem is with everybody. It's D'Angelo Russell, and if you are consistently down in this guy, get D'Angelo Russell off the roster. What do you think you're gonna get for him?
That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
what do you think you're gonna get for him? All you guys are doing is just talking about how bad he is. He's awful. He's this. He's that. I'm trying to sell his car. This car sucks. The engine won't run. The air conditioner. How much you think you're gonna sell it for? You're not gonna get anything for it. You're not gonna get a damn thing for it. And D'Angelo Russell, for all intents and purposes, has not shot the ball well, but he can shoot it. Sure, that's what you should be propping up. So you should be playing him more. And with playing him more, you should be putting him in spaces where he looks better to other teams. Like, wait a minute, we can use that. As opposed to D'Angelo Russell sucks. We don't need him on our team because you're not going to get anything for him. No.
You're right. You're 100% right. And in that vein, I take back everything I said about Davion Mitchell. Davion Mitchell is basically Jason Kidd. He is incredible. He is a hidden gem. He is a national champion, one of the greatest players potentially of all time, a late bloomer. He will eventually turn into a starting level player, maybe a 3-4 time All-Star.
Yes.
I don't want to give him up at any cost. I think the Raptors should sign him to a max contract. Okay, we're good. Okay, let's just
Nice.
put that clip
Good
that, please, PC, and please get this out to every GM. I am a credible basketball mind. I was right about Dyson Daniels. Okay, go.
Clad Diamond became a member. Shout out to Clad Diamonds. Football Breakdown, Bron's biggest fan, has said Bron has been careless. The guard rotation is awful. AD only scores when he has a physical advantage. They need a center and a scoring guard. D'Lo, if I speak. Okay, so D'Lo again, not good. But he held Bron and AD somewhat accountable. I think my biggest issue with the Lakers has been their transition defense. It's been so
awful.
Bad. This is where they rank in transition defense. They're defending in transition 18% of the time, which is 28th in the league. So they're in transition a lot. They're giving up 140 points per play in transition. That's by far the worst in the league. Then if you look at just off steals, so like when they actually live ball turnovers,
sure,
that's leading to transition 3/4 of the time. That's the worst in the league. They are giving up 154.7 points per play off of steals. That's the worst in the league. Then if you talk about just off a miss, so they miss a shot, they're giving up 136 points per play in those situations.
Right.
That's also the worst in the league. They stink in every regard of transition defense. They stink. They're the worst in the league in every single regard. It's really bad. And that starts with AD and LeBron. AD is the last back on defense every single time on the floor. Every time he's the last back. And that's a bad thing to happen. And they end up giving up open threes or giving up layups. There was multiple times last night where LeBron and AD both don't get back. The Suns score and then they're cherry picking on the other end. Like that can't be allowed to just be a consistent theme with the Lakers if they want to be a serious defense. It starts with those guys, but then you also got to look at their lack of athleticism and just the lack of personnel they have. It's hard to fix because that's been an issue with Darvingham, with JJ Redick. They can keep saying, "Oh, transition defense needs to fix," but like everyone notices the problem, but they're not changing the problem because they don't have the personnel to change the problem. So that's my biggest concern with that.
I just want to make sure that I'm following you, Mars. So essentially what you're telling me is that not only do we turn the ball over with some of the worst teams in the league, not only do we do that, but you're scoring almost every time when we get back on defense. That's a recipe for disaster. We're not gonna beat anybody. We can, and on top of that, I want you to flip that around, Mars, because on defense, we're not creating any havoc on the wing. We don't create any turnovers, which means we can't get out in transition, and we don't run. Why? Because we don't have any guys who are athletic wings that can get steals, that can cause disruption, where we can be faster in transition. We don't have that. So because we don't have that, we can't play to that level. Defensively, garbage. Absolutely garbage. And the idea that Anthony Davis, and I do want to preface back to this, the idea that Anthony Davis only scores when he has a physical match, a physical advantage. Well, when doesn't he have a physical advantage? In your estimation, when Anthony Davis is on the box, or when Anthony Davis is like last night, for example, I think he's got a physical advantage on Nurkic. 100% I do. When he plays against Rudy Gobert, as good as Rudy is as a defender, I think Anthony Davis is more physical than Rudy Gobert. If you think about when he plays against Toronto, when you think about when he plays against the Knicks, I think he's got a physical advantage over Cat, as big as Cat is. I do think that he's got a physical advantage over him. So a question that I pose is, when doesn't he have a physical advantage? Because what you're not going to do is you're not going to fault me for taking advantage of what I'm good at. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at getting to the rim. I'm good being around the rim. You're not going to fault me for being bigger and stronger than everybody else around me. No, I'm not going to do that, because I can say the same thing about Shaq. Shaq, the only reason why you scored is because you was bigger and stronger than everybody. Well, that's just not true.
Also, to your point about the Lakers forcing turnovers on the other end, they're 28th in offense off of turnovers. So like,
we ain't getting nothing in transition.
So they're the worst in the league at defending off their own turnovers, and then they're 28th in scoring off turnovers they create. So it's not a great recipe.
I think it's just like we've seen this with the Nuggets as well, right? The Nuggets are also terrible in transition, right? The Lakers are terrible in transition. So what do you got to do when you're terrible at transition? Make sure that you're not in transition all the time. Take really efficient shots. Try to maintain proper floor balance. Try to make sure that you have one player at all times who's like insisting on floor balance so that you don't get caught off guard. You got everybody to run, but there's no accountability here, right? Because some of your best players are not running back. right? They're not closing out properly. And it's just basketball is just a game of, y'all remember that game, Bop It?
Yes.
That game. To anyone in the 90s, bop it, twist it, turn it, whatever. It's like that, right? When you run 3-man action and you can put 3 defenders into that play, you're going to force a decision. If one of those players is Jared Vanderbilt, easy decision. Very easy decision, right? You need dynamic offensive players to create stressful situations for the defense to hopefully create enough motion, enough movement, and enough decisions that at some point you have a mistake. Then you need players who can process the game at a really high level. On the other end, you need the inverse. You need players who read situations well, map the court well, run back in transition, have that high motor. Right. The problem is everyone's looking for the same goddamn player. Everyone is looking for a high motor defender who has physical versatility, who can shoot the 3 and make good decisions and generally maps the floor well on offense and defense. Yeah, welcome to OG Anunoby territory. That's basically it, right? So that's why those players are so important. And I feel like a lot of people don't value like how much it helps to have a player who consistently makes the right decision on defense and actually has the motor to get back. But the Lakers roster just does not have that. And I think that if they're not efficient offensively, if they're having high turnover games, if they're not trying, if there's no compete level, they are going to get smoked this season.
Mid.
Pimp named Slickback. He said the Lakers solution is Nick Claxton, and we'll take every pick you got. Then he said Cam Johnson is also available for every pick you got. The store is open. Many will enter, few will win. It will not be cheap, though. We spoke a little bit about Cam Johnson. I don't even think Nick Claxton is a viable candidate for them, to be honest. I don't see a world in which they can acquire him. Cultured Bandit said Bron was chucking threes the last half of the game. That's what he does sometimes. Shout out to LeBron. We've got Aiden FW YouTube become a new member today. Shout out to you. And do we have any other Lakers super chats? Yes, we do. Realist123. He said, I'm tired of these little guards. We do not want Davion. We need wings who can defend and a legit backup center. Also, Gabe Vincent, time to learn Chinese.
I have a perfect guard for them.
Who is the perfect guard for them?
He's currently a free agent. Not Dennis Smith Jr.
Okay.
He has a shaky jumper.
Is he
Markelle Fultz?
Oh, Markelle. Okay, I thought you were saying Killian Hayes.
Markel's a pretty underrated defender. And he's a live wire athlete. And he gets into the paint. I understand he's not optimal, but I think he helps defensively.
We're at that point where he might be the best option available.
Well, you don't have to give anything up for him, and if you
that's what I'm saying. He might be the best
asset.
Realist123 says they have 2 first-round picks, so they don't have many options. These are the trades I'm talking about from the Trib 1. Austin Reeves, D'Lo, and Rui for Zach LaVine. Who says no? First-round pick and stuff for Kessler. Who says no? Second round and Gabe Vincent for Davion. Lakers in 6. Like, okay.
Let me ask you a question, Trib, and I actually like the Trib. When you say stuff like who says no, you don't think the Lakers have thought about this? I mean, Zach LaVine's been on the trade block for how long now? This has been going. This isn't Zach LaVine in trade talks like 6 months ago. Zach LaVine's been on the trade block since Lonzo Ball went out of the lineup. They've been talking about moving on from the Chicago Bulls thing. And Zach LaVine's name has come up. In fact, it was last year where he said that he gets surgery and he's out for the rest of the season because he wasn't trying to hear going to Detroit. So he's always been on the trade block, right? That's always been the case with him. So if the Lakers call and said, "Yo, we're gonna give up, we'll give up D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves for Zach LaVine," who says no? The Lakers say no because they're not doing that. Because if they were doing that, they would have done it already.
The Lakers want to keep their good players and give up bad players for good players.
Yes,
that's what they want to do.
Idea. Yes,
it's just they're not. It's not going to work.
No.
Should they consider a trade? Now, this is, of course, this is going to hinge on injury stuff. What about Rob Williams and Matisse Thybulle in Portland?
Yep,
that's defense and defense. And if you had to give up a first round pick,
injury prone guy, but
for sure. But this is the thing: we are banking on the 5% outcome because, frankly, it's a 5% chance the Lakers getting out of the first round anyway. But when you get there, if all the if everything lines up and Rob Williams and Matisse Thybulle are healthy, those are two rotation players that are massive upgrades over some of the guys that you're playing right now. And I don't really see why Portland needs to hold on to them. And the good thing is there's an inverse relationship between players and picks. When your players are doing poorly, your picks are doing well. And when your picks are doing well, your players are doing poorly, right? Yeah. So right now, the Lakers look like they are heading for an abysmal future, which means the projection of that 2031 pick, whatever is available, is very valuable, right? Because we can all do the math. LeBron not going to be in the league in 2031. Bronny James ain't it.
No, he won't, Mars. Knock it off.
And Anthony Davis has a lot of injury concerns, and I don't think anyone's expecting him to age gracefully past 34. So I think some team could really sell themselves on, damn, that's a really valuable pick. I'm willing to give you two great rotation players right now. If you can protect it top 6, top 8, I think that might be a worthwhile deal to swing at, especially if you can throw in a young asset like Ryan Rupert. Or maybe you can get rid of a Dalton Connect, swap Dalton Connect for a more defensive prospect like Ryan Rupert, right? Swap. So you get the defensive upgrade, and then you swap contracts for contracts where you get a useful contract like Matisse Thybulle and Rob Williams, right? Maybe you give up a really heavily protected first-round pick in that deal so that Portland can say, this is why we did it. We got this valuable first-round pick, and it's like top 13 protected, top 10 protected, top 8 protected. So the Lakers protect themselves. I don't know. If I was running the Lakers, I would really be calling up Portland because I said it a long time ago. Portland is way better than people give them credit for. That roster is deeper and better. Guys like Denny Avdia would help you so much more than Rui Hachimura. I think Denny would help more than Rui, personally.
And I can appreciate that. But remember, like we talked about not too long ago, Penn, and nobody's interested in helping the Lakers. So the question is what is it going to cost? I've always been an advocate of calling up the Trailblazers and asking for Rob Williams because I think that the contract that he's under currently, I think it's very tradable. I think he's on the books for $25 million, and over the next 2 years, that's $12 and $13 million. That's a very tradable deal at this point. Now, sure, Mars, he is a little bit banged up, but I can tell you right now, he's been looking pretty good. He's been looking really good. And the idea of Thybulle is basically he would be what Vanderbilt is supposed to be. That's essentially what he would be. He would be the defender who can't really shoot, but he would give you those minutes that you need on the wing to actually disrupt defenses. He would give you that. The question is what would it cost the Lakers to give up to get Robert Williams and Thybulle? And I don't think the Lakers are willing to come off of what they need to in order to get those two guys. I think that they'd be like, well, can we keep Well, I think they would come off of D'Lo. I'm not gonna say that. But would they come off of Dalton Connect, which they should? Would they come off of Austin Reeves, which they should, for those two guys? Because those are the guys that they.
I don't know if I give up Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect for that. Your offense got to.
I'm throwing names out. I don't mean both of those guys together in a trade. Yeah, I'm just throwing those. I'm more willing to give up in this particular situation. I'm more willing to give up for those two guys. I'm more willing to give up Dalton Connect than I am Austin Reeves.
So we're an hour and 40 minutes in, and basically, Los Angeles, you guys are cooked. The Trib one said, love JJ this year, but I want less minutes for the starters. Unfortunately, your bench stinks.
That's the problem. That's why.
Yeah. But there we go. We are done with the Lakers super chat. So any Lakers fans who are upset that we were talking about you guys too much, well, sorry, I'm gonna read the super chats. Then we got a couple more just intermediate super chats in terms of they don't really have too much relevance to the NBA. So Mitsu said these dating analogies are fire, very easy to understand. I love when you guys do your little analogies. They're really fun. And then a couple of super chats regarding Cooper Flag. I'm going to ask Penn for his opinion on this because he's the draft aficionado up here. He said, Masenko G said, people take this as disrespect, but I mean it in a good way. Flag has always reminded me of a souped-up Bobcats Gerald Wallace. Do you see that comparison?
I heard Keith Van Horn, like a better version of Keith Van Horn.
A white guy. Interesting. A white guy.
Oh, my God. I love Gerald Wallace. I thought Gerald Wallace was awesome. Gerald Wallace is the type of guy that you're like, you wake up the next day and you are actually legitimately bruised and hurt because you had to play against that dude. He crashed the glass. He plays.
Nickname is Crash. That's an elite nickname, by the way.
Yes,
for sure.
That's a great nickname.
I like that comparison. It's just when you start comparing him to high energy role players, I think you miss the star upside of his playmaking, ball handling, and all that stuff, which is so much more advanced than Gerald Wallace. So yeah, like I wish my stars played with the energy of Gerald Wallace. So if you're comparing energy for energy, yeah, it's very similar. If you're comparing game for game, measurement for measurement, IQ for IQ, defensive awareness, the size, the length, all of that, I think Cooper clears him by miles.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
don't know about miles, but I will say this though, Penn. I think sometimes it's safer. I think that's why people might do that, just because it's safer. To where, like, if you were like who said the Larry Bird thing earlier, you know what I mean? Like,
I did.
I think, yeah, right. So I think it might be safer just to compare him to a guy like Gerald than it is to compare him to a guy like, for instance, and I know none of us think he's Larry Bird, but it might be safer to compare him to a guy like Gerald as opposed to a guy like Larry Bird, just because you never know what happens with these kids. He might come in and be a really, really good role player. You know what I'm saying? Even though he does have a big star upside, you know what I'm saying? He might end up being and there's nothing wrong with that. If he were to come into the NBA and be one of those, 6 men of the year, or just a very good, maybe like MPJ, you know what I'm saying? A guy that's a starter, but you're not a superstar, you know what I mean? And I don't think that's gonna happen. I think Cooper Flag has star written all over it, but you never know.
It's no guts, no glory, Ox.
No doubt.
You got to be willing to go out on a limb. Look,
no
when I stalled this panel for 30 minutes so that we could give Jordy Fernandez's full resume its due, I did so for a reason, because I really believe in this guy, and I've been online promoting him ever since anyone's had a coaching vacancy for the last 2 years. I'm like, y'all got to hire Jordy Fernandez. So yeah, it would have been safer to say, let's wait and see. Look, maybe Jordy Fernandez will flop, but instead I came out and I said, he's great. He's going to be this great coach. But that's the thing. If I'm wrong, because I went out on a limb like that, like when Dyson was a bench player who couldn't shoot in New Orleans, I was like, yo, I would have taken him top 4. I think he's great. Keon Ellis, the first minute he popped off in Sacramento, I was like, this is going to be one of the premier guards. Yeah, once in a while I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to have an opinion. And this is not like child safety. This is not something serious. This is not war. It's basketball.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think we got to be willing to go out on a limb.
Yeah,
if you legit think Cooper Flag is Larry Bird, you're probably, you're comparing complexities.
No. When I
We're not
said
saying
that,
you did that, show. We're not accusing you of doing that.
Yeah.
You weren't saying he's Larry Bird.
But
people are just saying where he pans out.
People are comparing him to every white dude in the book, and I just don't get it. I really don't. And it's the same reason that they compare African prospects to African prospects. Oh, come on, Malawash. He must be Dikembe Mutombo. And it's like, bro, he's shooting threes over Anthony Davis. How the hell is he Dikembe Mutombo? People see what they want to see, right? People see what they want to see. Like, just why they compare Michael Finley to Michael Jordan. They compare Eddie Jones to Michael Jordan. Y'all remember all the Michael Jordan comparisons? Yeah. Every player coming out. Penny Hardaway, Grant Hill, every good player. Jerry Stackhouse, Vince
Eddie
Carter.
Jones was nasty, though.
He's great.
Oh, my God.
One of my favorite players. I really love
just as good as Michael Jordan, if you
didn't get the opportunity.
But Penn, the thing, I was going to go back to that real quick, and I'm not trying to start nothing. But the thing with Jordy, and I think this is where Mars was coming from, and this is definitely where I was coming from. I'm a huge fan of Jordy. I was a huge fan of Jordy when he was on our bench. You could see how everybody respected him. You could see he knew what he was doing. When you listen to him talk, when you watch him in practice, you can see he's a great coach. My only thing is, I had never seen him be a head coach in the NBA. So
that was the issue.
I think I do. I had the same. I still have the same optimism as him being a great coach. But it was just like, well, yeah, I've seen these other guys coaching the NBA. I'm gonna put him at the top of the new guys. You know what I'm saying? And that's not saying that I don't think he has the ability to be a top 15 coach of the NBA someday. I was just like, well, he hasn't done it yet. Let's be easy. Now, to your point, I'm doing exactly what you said about the no guts, no glory thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. With prospects, though, I like to be high on prospects. I do, but I've also seen a lot of guys come and not be who we thought they were going to be.
Yo, I made a video in 2007 called The Number 23, and I compared Kevin Durant to Michael Jordan in terms of impact and in terms of draft prognostications, because I was like, the way they regretted passing on Jordan for Bowie is the same way they're going to regret passing on. Do you know how controversial it was at that time in 2007 to claim that Greg Oden was not going to make it? It was crazy. Flamed like crazy. And there was a very
Penn,
good
I
chance
thought
that
I was Penn. I thought I was looking at Patrick Ewing 2.0. That's what I thought I saw.
And even if he was Patrick Ewing, legit
It was the
Patrick
injury
Ewing,
thing.
KD
He
was
was
still a
that
better
good.
player. So that's my point. So it's like you go out on a limb, and sometimes you're going to be wrong. I was wrong as hell about Paolo. I was wrong as hell about Brandon Miller. Like, yeah, but I'm never going to be lukewarm about a take.
Say it. That's
I mean?
why we're here.
If I'm lukewarm, it's because I don't know. And if I don't know, I gotta go find out. You know what I mean?
That's why we're here though, Penn, because we have to be able to say, because if we like everybody else, then what's the sense in all of these people being here? Because we're just like everybody else. So when before the season starts, and I tell everybody, including this dude right here, who wasn't optimistic, when I say, yo, I think the Houston Rockets are gonna be a top 5 seed this year. What? Are you dudes crazy? Hell no, that's not happening. But I'm looking at this crew and I'm going, I think that they're making the playoffs. I don't think they're a playing team. I think that they're for real.
But that's
you have to be able to take it there. You have to be
confidence
able to do that.
because you're willing to be wrong, and that's why you're willing to do that. And that's what I like about executives who have actual balls. You know, like actual balls.
Big balls.
You know what it takes to like the reason what you said there. It got me thinking. Isn't that how the rest of the league thinks too? Isn't that why we keep going around the same damn coaching carousel and Doc Rivers keeps getting job after job after job? And right now, if Nick Nurse gets fired in Philly, he's going to have a job next year with somebody else. And what are they going to say when that dude fails? They're going to say, but he was successful somewhere else. He won a championship with the Raptors. You can't blame us. But if you hire some random dude who's been coaching in, Barcelona, and he comes over to the NBA and fails, they're going to blame it on you. So what I'm saying is, GMs, executives, coaches, everyone's looking to duck accountability, but no one's willing to try anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
When Mike D'Antoni came and said, we're just going to shoot threes, the earliest in shot clock, that's visionary shit. James Harden is like visionary shit. Like truly visionary shit. Like he is a pioneer.
I was with you, man.
He's a pioneer. He's trying to do shit that no one's done. I mean, shit. Like Kyrie Irving's a pioneer. I like pioneer, mentality of like I'm gonna be the first person to do this, and I don't give a shit what you say about it. I like that because that's what takes actual confidence to do that. To take all the negativity, all the pushback, all the hate from everybody, and say I'm still gonna do it. That's why probably Jared McCain is so successful. He's seeing the comments. He's not changing. He's still dancing. That's big ball energy, man.
Well, that's because that has nothing. That's only like so. Pin with that has nothing to do with basketball though. Like Jared McCain was a baller before the TikTok, after the TikTok. He could keep doing his thing off the court. You know what I mean? Like if he was to try something revolutionary with his basketball game and he kept doing that, like I would feel it. But like Jared McCain not hurt.
TikToks mid game. That's
like right. Like at the free throw line, start doing that. It's like, all right, Jared, chill out, But like that doesn't affect his basketball game whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And we might make fun of him, we might joke about it. Might make little comments. Yep. I know. I was laughing at the kid, but he's a hooper though. Like. I don't care what he does off the court. That has nothing to do with me.
I like people who have the courage to be themselves. That's it. Like when we see a person, like Grady Dick wearing that red suit, like you better hoop. Like you better ball out. You're gonna put that red suit. You putting a big target on your back, and he did. Right. But he's just like, yeah, it looked cool to me. I wanted to do that. The frame of mindset here is, am I doing what I want to do, or am I doing what will not be judged by other people if I do it, And it's the same thing with rotations, right? Steve Kerr, what they're doing this year in Golden State with the 12-man rotation, if that failed, how much criticism would they get?
It's going to fail, Pin. It's going to fail.
It'll fail in the playoffs.
They're struggling a little bit right now.
Right? What about Joe Mazzulla? A little bit of a pioneer himself, saying, I'm going to just, have my team shooting threes and I don't give a shit about anything else. And
that's going to fail too.
I mean, it succeeded last year, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it takes courage to be the first person to do something. That's what I'm saying.
I want to spend the last hour talking about last night's games and stuff. So let me just get through whatever super chats we have that aren't pertaining to games. So Tyrone Flawless Wiggins says 33% is phenomenal odds. So chill. It looks like you shooting Steph Curry numbers. That's what it seems like.
Just remember, every chick will dance. You just got to play the right song. That's it.
I'm gonna write that down.
This question is just for Penn. I feel like this is a simple yes or no answer, but we'll see. Wizardo said, hot take. Cooper Flag is not who teams should be tanking for. Thoughts?
No.
There you go. What team would fit Cooper Flag the most?
Brooklyn.
Shit.
I like him in Brooklyn.
Every team. San Antonio, Brooklyn, Philly. I mean, if a team could OKC.
Yeah,
OKC with him and Chet up front.
That wouldn't be fair, yo.
Goodness.
No.
I like San Antonio.
It's not nice.
Nope.
It's about nice.
Remember what I told y'all about how the Lakers got Magic and then they turned around and got James Worthy. If David Stern was the commissioner, that he would have put the kibosh on that. Hell no.
Everyone but Portland is fine.
I'll tell you right now, if he goes to Washington, he's getting the name Captain America right away.
I like Utah. I mean, not Utah. I like San Antonio. I like San Antonio.
Me too. But they too good right now. But
everywhere.
I'm
cool with him in Toronto. He's from Maine. He's from Maine. He's basically Canadian. Send him to Toronto.
Yeah, you good. This is also a very simple yes or no. We don't need to spend any time on this. Isaiah Davis. If the Orlando Magic had Anthony Davis instead of Shaq, do they get past Hakeem?
No.
No. What?
I told you it's a simple yes or no. We don't need to waste time on those type of questions.
Wait, but Mars, who do these people think Anthony Davis is?
No disrespect to Isaiah Davis. He just asked a question that was very simple to answer.
But so forget that super chat, but Mars, I just want to ask you a question. Who do these people think Anthony Davis is?
Well, I can tell you who he ain't.
Prime Shaquille O'Neal, clearly.
He's not the dude slowing down Hakeem Olajuwon in 1995. I can tell you that.
I'm just letting you know we didn't have to spend too much time on that question. It's pretty obvious.
All right, my bad. I'm gonna leave it alone because that's crazy, bro.
And then I'm gonna read a couple chats about trades, and then we'll get into games. I got a super chat regarding the Bucks, and then we'll get into the Rockets and Minnesota game that people want to talk about. So I'll start with DSG Piccolo. He's a Portland fan. He said, "I might have an aneurysm if I see D'Lo on my team, and any trade with those bums needs unprotected picks. Capture the Flag continues tonight against Halley. Klingon out for 2 weeks and Matisse out for 3 to 6. I don't know what Portland's gonna. I don't think Portland's gonna make too many trades, and if they do, I doubt it'll be with the Lakers. But we'll see what the future holds for Portland. All I know is it doesn't hold Cooper Flag, and I pray it doesn't because we don't need to ruin.
Mars, what's the plan moving forward in Portland? Mars, the more I watch the Trailblazers, the more I like this scooting sharp backcourt. I do. The more I watch the Trailblazers, the more I'm feeling this scooting in sharp backcourt. He's a better athlete than what I thought he was. I think that mid-range looks like it's going to work. That 3 balls are going to get better. I hope Klingon ain't made of glass. Oh, I hope he's not made of glass.
He'll be all right. I
hope he's not made of glass because I think you got your 5-man. I do. Build it around these 3 guys.
Gunny said Mitch gonna be a buck. Shout out Splash Mountain. Mitch who?
Good job interpreting all these things like very quickly. You auto-correcting, you reading emojis out. I'm not used to this shit. This is amazing.
Is he talking about Mitchell Robinson?
Is he?
Not Mitchell Robinson being a buck.
Mitchell Robinson going to be a buck? I don't know. Okay, maybe. I doubt the Knicks are going to make trades with direct competitors. If I'm being honest. But we'll see. And then final trades: Breezy, Ayton, and Jeremy Grant for Paul George, Caleb Martin, and KJ Martin. # save Joel. Save Joel by putting another big on his team. Nah, we good. Nah, we're not doing that trade in Philly. We okay.
Joel needs to save himself.
Yeah, he needs to sit out as long as possible. He got swelling in his knee. That's the Kawhi Leonard. That's not good. But okay, we're gonna start. Drink more water. He's a Bucks fan. He sent a super chat pertaining to his Bucks. He said, "Bucks back to 500, so I can talk my shit again." LOL. In seriousness, I think Doc deserves some credit for not being afraid to bench underperforming players and playing youth. Lopez has also played well. Did you guys catch that Miami-Milwaukee game last night?
Yes, I did.
Because they had no. For anyone who doesn't know, they had no Giannis last night. They were ended up being. They were up like I want to say like 20-25. Miami ended up making the game close, but they did win that game without Giannis. Dame had 37 and 12, I think, made 8 threes. So the Bucks seem to be figuring it out. I think now they're 9-9 on the season. In the last 2 weeks, I think they've been a top 10 offense and defense. So by Penn's litmus test of what makes a contender, in the last 2 weeks, they're playing like it. I think they're 8th in offense and defense in the last 2 weeks. Are the Bucks legitimate? Are they a contender in the East? We know Boston are like probably the favorites for most people, but can the Bucks pose a challenge to teams out East?
I think they're gonna make some noise. I do, but to win the whole thing, no. I don't think that they're as good as their best player is. I don't think that that's enough to make up for what they don't have on the perimeter. And guys like, even though Gary Trent is going to compete, watching Damian Lillard compete on the defensive end. Their communication has gotten a lot better. They're still doing the stuff that they did a while ago. And Dame is getting chased off of being on a big guy. And he's screaming at Bobby Portis to get to Bam when he gets switched on him. And it works for the most part. But when you play against teams with legit bigs and you play against teams that have guards that are going to go after these guys on a consistent basis, Giannis still has the flaws that Giannis has. I think it's going to be hard for them to win the championship. But I do think that they're going to make some noise. I do.
I believe that they can be the 4th or 5th best team in the East. They're not better than Boston, New York, or Cleveland. Those are the 3 teams. What is that?
Does Chris Middleton change that if he comes back and there's Chris Middleton?
No, but Chris Middleton is what makes them a legit 4th best team in the East.
Okay.
But I don't.
How did they get past
I don't
Orlando?
think they're better than Cleveland. Well, with Chris Middleton, I think as a full team, as a full team, I think they're better than Orlando. But I don't think they're better than those other 3 teams. And mind you, with that being said, Pin, that doesn't necessarily mean that they beat Orlando. Like if they were the 4 or 5 matchup, you know what I'm saying, in the playoffs. I'm not just giving that to the Bucks. I think Orlando could beat them. So, but I'm not willing to have a conversation about Cleveland, not Chicago, Cleveland, New York, and Boston. I'm not.
For what it's worth, because I have many issues, but one of my issues with Doc Rivers has been his refusal at times to play his young guys, and Drinkman Water alluded to it. But guys like AJ Green, guys like Andre Jackson, actually getting minutes over Pat Connaughtons of the world, over Gary Trent's, shows Doc Rivers he's taking this serious and he's trying to win games, because Andre Jackson has been great for them defensively, like he was at UConn, but great for them defensively. The concern obviously was the outside shot. But you play Andre Jackson, AJ Green competes on defense, shoots the hell out the ball. Taurean Prince has been a very good signing for them, in my opinion.
Yep.
And then you got Giannis obviously on the roster. Dame has been, I think, really good this season on the whole. Brook Lopez, I think. Brook Lopez is people complain he's not very versatile defensively. Like, he's gonna play a very deep drop, and that's all he's really gonna be able to do on defense. And he's gonna protect the rim, protect the paint, block shots, and he's not gonna do much else outside of that. But once you start executing correctly within what Brook Lopez does defensively, I think you have the makings of a solid defense. Do I think you're gonna be great? No, I don't think you're gonna be great defense, because you have Dame out there, and then you still have guys off the bench who are just liabilities defensively, to put it plain and simple. But you can be a solid defense. And then with Dame being as good as he's been this season, Giannis being as good as he's been this season, and there's floor spacing around that, that's the makings of an elite offense. Like I think the Bucks can contend. They're not my favorites by any stretch of the imagination. I'm still taking.
When you say contend, you mean for a championship?
Well, I think in any series, I think they have a shot. That's what I think. I think they have a shot. I think they'll probably lose to Boston, but I think they have a shot. I think they'd probably lose to Cleveland, but I think they have a shot. And then I think they probably lose to New York, but I think they have a shot. That's what I'm saying. I think they have a shot.
You remember where Damian Lillard wanted to go before he got traded to Milwaukee?
Miami.
I think it's ironic that he had his best game of the season against Miami.
Well, he's trying to show them that this is what they missed out on. Is that what it is?
I'm just saying it's pretty ironic. He had a masterclass last night. A lot of players scored 37 points. Okay. That was an absolute superstar level masterclass. He elevated the hell out of them. They had no business beating them that bad, against a pretty healthy team. I can't say that Miami played that great. Definitely they did not. Brook Lopez and Damian Lillard are the reasons they won that game. Almost single-handedly, those two were the overwhelming positives, and they were able to overcome the overwhelming negatives that still exist on that team. And they played horribly last night. Gary Trent Jr. was bad last night, like really bad, like goddamn unplayable bad. Bobby Portis
particularly
was
on defense,
awful. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Like, even in the midst of a win, it's not all kumbaya. It's not, oh my God, like everything's great. No, you're winning in spite of stuff. When the Lakers, dropped like that 51-17 run in Denver, it's not kumbaya. I'm still looking at my second highest paid player, and he had a horrible game. Like, so there are still problems present in happy moments, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not trying to be negative about it. Obviously, it's a big deal that the Bucks have caught up in the East. The East is trash right now, and they've beat, they beat Miami without Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is something to build on. Marjon Beauchamp got 7 minutes, I think, in that game.
And he was a
He
positive.
was competitive in
Yes,
those minutes.
he
He
was
was
a
very
positive.
good.
Yes,
So
he
I
was.
think they need to really start to move away from this idea of playing Bobby Portis and Gary Trent the way that they are. And I think
Please.
maybe with Middleton and Giannis back, if they can continue getting this type of effort from Damian Lillard, I'm not just talking like just, scoring 37 points. You don't got to score 37 points to be this impactful. He can score 25 and still have a masterclass.
Sure.
He needs to start playing like a superstar because that's what he is. In my opinion, Damian Lillard is really
He's still one of the 10 best league guards in the game. I mean, I don't think that
we were talking about as one of the 10 best players in the league just 2 years ago, right? And I don't think the fall off needs to be this aggressive for a player who shoots this well. Like, look at how Steph is aging. I don't see Damian Lillard as that much less than Steph. I really don't.
He's one of the 10 best league guards in the game.
Mars, I'm saying I don't see him as that.
I always felt like there's a gap between them. But Mars, you were talking about Doc Rivers being more innovative, playing the younger guys. Well, what choice does he have, Mars? We're at the bottom of the East. We're garbage. So if you look at the crew,
but it might have been out of desperation. But progress is progress. Like
that's what I'm talking about.
Maybe it took being in a life or death situation for him to use his brain. Whatever the reason is, I'm going to give him credit for using his brain. Right. Now, and the next step in the equation is get Bobby Portis out the rotation. That's the next step. But we're making progress step by step. We're getting there. Like, so I'm gonna praise him while we're on the road to success.
Sure.
Once we get to the point where he's not playing Bobby Portis anymore, then I'll be like, good work. And maybe he's waiting for Middleton to be back.
To be honest with you two guys, I don't think Bobby Portis was that bad last night. I don't. I think he took advantage of a couple of mismatches. Like he had Jaime Jaquez on him a couple of times, and he took advantage of that around the block. I think he likes that straightaway jump shot at the long ball line. And Bobby Portis is another one of those guys. Even though he's an energy guy, he's another one of those guys where once he sees the ball go in a couple of times, that stuff that he's really good at, he gets even better at that. He will get on the glass and he will defend, right? Not only will he defend, he'll do the other dirty work stuff. The problem that Miami had last night was their defense in terms of their communication. Very much like with the Lakers, I want you to compound the communication part. That's where the problem was with the Miami Heat. They weren't communicating at all on switches. They kept getting Damian Lillard in spaces where they were both jumping him, where Damian Lillard would get off the ball and somebody else would be wide open for a shot. They would try to blitz him, and he would end up beating the blitz. They would get Dame switched on to Bam, which Bam is one of the better switchable bigs in the game. I think it's him and Evan Mobley are the two best switchable bigs in the game. But then when he would get him on, Bam, Dame would get off the ball and then get a switch back where they get Larson back on the Dame, and Dame would just go after him. Dame would just go after him, and there was really nothing that he can do. Now, as far as Miami's offense, they've always been over the last 5 years, they've always been at the bottom of the league in offense. Always. And I'm starting to come to the realization, and I don't want to jump off the bridge because, again, I'm one of those people I'm one of those people who I believe in, guys. Bam is really upsetting me. He is, because
you can jump off the bridge. It's okay. You can jump off the bridge.
I know that the idea is chill. Maybe he just ain't as good as you think he is. Maybe he's just a legitimate role guy who only runs the offense and is never going to be the scorer that you think he's going to be. Maybe. Yes. So if that's the case, then stop showing me 26. Stop showing me 34. Don't do that again. How about you
just have good games?
No, hell no. How about you just give me a consistent 17?
And he said don't have good games because I'm a fool for it.
That's what's going to happen, Mars. I'm sick of this. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to get a 28 and 11 game and 3 blocks. And I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm not asking for that, but maybe I could get something around 22, 23. Maybe I can get something around that on a consistent basis. But if you are really 17 and 19 a game, give me that and let me get off this train of you being a guy that we can actually run the offense through and you being that scorer that I think you are. If you are that, be that and let me get off that train. Please let me get off that train.
Mars, you watched the game last night, right? The Bucks game?
I watched parts. I didn't watch all of it. I didn't see the comeback, for example.
Okay. Now, Damian Lillard had a 32.4% usage last night. There was one Milwaukee Buck that had a higher usage than Damian Lillard, and he played major rotation minutes. Can you guess who that rotation player was?
Was it a certain bug-eyed Bobby Portis?
Yes, it was. If you had to guess his usage on the game, what would you guess it was?
40?
42.9% usage, which is like, it would make, those are numbers that would make James Harden blush. And for all that usage that Bobby Portis had in his
That's prime Russell Westbrook usage.
42% usage rate. Holy
43.
shit.
Okay.
43?
And for his great usage, what would you say his single game box plus minus was in this game? Just to give a context, the best player on the team was Damian Lillard with 21.7, and the second best player was Brook Lopez with 11.7. What do you think Bobby Portis's box plus minus was? And for people who don't understand box plus minus, it means basically what do you add per 100 possessions on the box score in terms of points, offense, defense, aggregated.
If Brook was plus 11.7, Bobby was minus 11.7.
Bobby was minus 18.3.
18. God, man, I was going to.
So this is so chill. When you say that he got busy, he got really busy. He was super busy
helping Miami. He was really busy helping Miami.
He was busier than a $60 woman of the night.
Oh god,
he was very busy.
Nice analogy.
Okay. Yeah. I think if the Milwaukee Bucks
got a lot of time to be dealing with you, she got to hurry up, yo.
2 minutes in and out. It's in and out burger.
Let's go.
We're going to those analogies, yo.
I don't got a lot of time.
So what I'm saying is Bobby Portis needs to get a little less busy.
My issue with Bobby Portis is, and I think this is what happens with a lot of role players, because I like to pride myself on paying attention to guys beyond the superstars. I think the superstars get all the attention, and we can talk about superstars all day. So when I'm watching like teams like the Bucks, it's like I can notice what Giannis is doing, even if I'm not fully engaged on Giannis. So I'll be watching the Bucks, and I'm just like, okay, here's one possession where instead of running a Dame pick and roll or getting some good action towards our best players, we're now running a Bobby Portis isolation. Or there is a play where it's meant to be a dribble handoff between Bobby Portis and Dame, but instead he keeps it to do some face-up nonsense and shoot a brick. And I'm like, And then we're on defense, and I understand you're not Brook Lopez, but you're still meant to be playing a drop. But instead, you're just letting guys go right by you, and you're also giving up the backdoor lob. So I'm like, And then you get the ball, and instead of just swinging the ball and keeping the offense moving, you decide you want to jab 3 times and start posting up. I'm just like, And then you want to catch the ball wide open for a 3, and instead of shooting it right away in rhythm, you want to jab step and then shoot. And I'm just like, So I'm just watching him, and I'm just noticing he's a clear detriment to his team. And it's like, he scores. Like, he can score. So, like, there's occasions where he's posting up, and it's like, oh, he gets a bucket. And then there's an occasion where he's going to make a mid-range jumper. And then there's an occasion where he's just going to get, like, he's going to hustle for an offensive rebound and get a putback. And I think that's what tricks people into thinking he's not bad. Because anytime you can score, you probably get given more grace than a role player who doesn't score. So Bobby Portis is averaging like 15 or 12 points or whatever he's averaging. It's like, well, he's bringing 12 points off the bench. And this is why I've always hated when people be like, oh, we got nothing from the bench. They scored 8 points. Because then you end up thinking Bobby Portis is valuable. And it's like, there's more to bringing value off the bench than just putting points on the board. There is no reason why Bobby Portis is 5th in the NBA in post-ups per game.
But he gets
Bobby
busy.
Portis.
Yo,
busy on the box.
He gets busy.
He gets busy on the box.
He gets busy.
He gets busy on the box.
Portis is 5th in the NBA in post-ups.
They and particularly on that left block. That's where they like him at. That's where they love him at. They get him in that pick and roll, and he dives to that left block, and they get that switch that they're looking for, and they go to Bobby. They go to Bobby consistently on the box.
Like they should, Chill. Like they should, Chill.
Oh my!
Just like they should. Bobby Portis will punish you on that block.
He's third in post-up frequency. So like,
he is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
The only guys who post up more frequently than Bobby Portis are Zubac and Jokic.
But S'mores, that's not an indictment on the Bulls and Bobby Portis. That's an indictment on the NBA. That's a problem for the other bigs.
That's fine. If you want to make that argument, the post-up is dying.
In the NBA that aren't getting on the block, that aren't putting in the big man work, that's on them. Bobby Portis is doing what he's supposed to do, and the Bucks are doing what they're supposed to do. You get a mismatch on that block on Bobby's strong side.
Bobby Portis thinks everything is a mismatch for him.
Because Bobby Portis is nice, Mars. I'm tired of this shit.
We're moving on to the next game. We're moving on to the next game.
Ox likes players who play like him.
I'm getting a phone call. That's the only reason I'm not going to keep going.
There's no way Ox plays like Bobby Portis. I would never disrespect Ox's game like that to say he plays.
Ox, do you play like Bobby Portis?
Nah, he passed the ball
a little bit.
He a playmaker. He see the floor. He see the floor. He's not no Bobby Portis. I can't disrespect my guy Ox like that. Tyrone Winston said we did talk about the Lakers and we kind of spoke about the Suns like briefly, but not too much. He said the Suns look so different when KD plays. Wow, I believe they're 10-2 when KD plays on the season.
I think they're 9-1.
It's something to that effect.
The ball going through the rim will do that. So when KD's on the floor, the ball going through the rim. I mean, Devin Booker is getting a lot more one-on-one matchups as opposed to getting doubled. They play a lot faster when KD is on the floor. That works. A lot of guys get more one-on-one matchups with KD on the floor as opposed to doubling. Plus, with Bradley Beal on the floor, it's a lot of you get a lot of stuff.
9-1. Thank you, Pep.
You get a lot of the stuff that they get. It's almost like the Golden State Warrior effect when he got on Golden State. Like the same shots that he was getting in Oklahoma City, he was getting those shots in Golden State, except he only had one guy hanging on him as opposed to 2 and 3 guys. Well, same logic works for Phoenix, where when Devin Booker is getting the shots that he's getting, while it's just him and Austin Reeves, or it's him and whomever, Desmond Bain, whomever is standing in front of him, as opposed to him getting double and triple. KD has that kind of gravity. KD has that kind of effect on your offense when he's on the floor. So it's always good to have him back, 100%. And I've subscribed to your logic, Mars, that until he quits, I think he's 25 on a Tuesday.
What bothers me, and this is not just a KD thing, when we're talking about players who are particularly scorers, when we're talking about guys who score at an elite level, but they aren't particularly elite in the other areas of the game, the idea of he's just a scorer always bothers me, especially when we're talking about Kevin Durant or Dirk Nowitzki. Like, I understand wanting someone to be an all-around player. I understand that. But I don't think people understand the value you get from Kevin Durant just based off scoring alone. The fact that he shoots the three at a high clip, the fact that he moves off the ball as well as he does at 7 feet tall, the fact that he's as great at the rim as he is, the fact that he's an isolation mismatch, the fact that he can score any which way you want in the half court or in transition, the attention you have to commit to Kevin Durant just because of his threat to score alone opens up offense. So he might not be LeBron James as a playmaker. Cool. He might not be Luka Doncic as a playmaker. But the amount of adjustments and the things you have to do to make Kevin Durant less effective compromises your defense in other ways that people can't comprehend because he's not averaging 9 assists. Kevin Durant breaks defenses solely because of how good of a scorer he is. Dirk Nowitzki destroyed defenses solely because of how good of a scorer he was at the power forward position, being a mismatch for fours, being too big for threes, and then being able to shoot the ball as well as he did, dragging bigs away from the lane. So the idea of he's just a scorer has always bothered me when you talk about the elite of the elite scorers. Now, if we're talking about Bobby Portis, and all he does is bring inefficient scoring, cool. But when you're talking about Kevin Durant, and you're like, well, he's not as good as this guy because this guy does all of these things, and Kevin Durant is just a scorer, I feel like that's just minimizing the value in which he's providing as a scorer. It's like saying, well, this guy's not that good because all he does is play elite defense. Like, what?
So Mars,
that doesn't make sense.
With that being said, so KD is primarily a bucket getter. How about that? Well, so,
yes, but people use that to diminish his standards.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you. So
Kobe was primarily a bucket getter.
This is what I'm saying. With
most all-time greats,
with KD being primarily a bucket getter, the stuff that he does, is that more valuable to him? Is that more valuable to the crew with him being primarily a bucket getter as opposed to other guys being better playmakers, being better defenders, with him being primarily a bucket getter?
I mean, I think it depends on the player you're comparing him to.
But to use the idea that he's primarily a bucket getter, whereas guys like Jokic and LeBron are all-around players, I think that's what oversimplifies what KD does. So, at some point when I started on the panel, someone asked me, like, what's greatness to you? Like, I think it was gifted. I was mimicking the Crackers. My bad. So gifted, you know, and he said, "What's greatness?" Right. So, and I said, "Gravity, like the like that force." So think about it this way: imagine the court, right, is like a 3D plane, and every great player is basically like exerting a force on the ground that is bending the court downward. Right.
So we got Einstein's theory of relativity. Okay.
I don't know. You get what I'm saying. So if KD is in the middle of the court, he has an actual force that he is exerting on the floor that is sinking the defense towards him. Right. He can't be open. It's a panic attack. Right. It's just like Steph Curry or Shaquille O'Neal. All great players just have a tremendous amount of gravity. If Shaquille O'Neal is on the block against your center 1-on-1, you're dead. You're dead. Because he's going to score every time. And that assertiveness as a scorer, as a bucket getter, means 2-3 defenders are now starting to sink towards him, right? And that's when we talk about like great players. The greatest offensive players of all time have this insane ability to sink the floor around them so that all the defense starts to get geared onto them. Now, if I'm Shaquille O'Neal and I'm on the block and I'm forcing the help side defender to be thinking about my passing because I'm a good passer, and I'm thinking about the low man starting to come over for the double, I'm starting to draw the wing defender to try and reach. I have just opened up all my teammates just by being on the court. Just by running the court, I'm
fair enough.
Like my ability to just be on the court. And then on defense, it's the exact opposite. Right? A player like Shaquille O'Neal or Wembanyama or Rudy Gobert, for that reason, they just stop offense in like really large swaths of space. So now, if I'm the offense and this guy's on the court, or even if you think about a guy like Michael Jordan or Gary Payton, guys who tip the basketball, great perimeter defenders, a guy like Drew Holiday, who's a great switch defender and a really strong guard, guys like this, they almost force you away from that side of the court. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go on that side of the court. Nah, I don't want to throw that pass. Nah, I don't want to dribble against that, you know? And so like when you think about a guy like Drew Holiday trying to pick up full court, especially in his prime, how many primary offensive players were like, I'm good. I'm going to let someone else bring the ball up the court. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I'm talking about, like with greatness on offense and defense. So we have this equation about like, oh, KD this, KD that. It's like, bro, is he bending the defense? That's all I care about.
Oh, 100%
how he does
it.
He's a walking mismatch. That's the thing. And there's a reason, sorry, Cho, but there's a reason why Kevin Durant has been a part of elite offenses every year he's been in his prime. Like, it's not a coincidence. From 2011 to now, I could go through it. They were 5th in offense in 2011. They were 2nd in 2012. They were 1st in 2013. In 2014, his MVP year, this is the year where Russ missed half the year, they were 6th. In 2015, he misses the season. They go down to 10th. 2016, he comes back. They're now 6th. And then obviously you got the Warriors years where it's obviously more than KD. But they're 1st, and then they're...
he contributed mightily to that.
They're 1st, and then they're 1st again. And then I think they were 3rd in 2018. And then I think... And then 2019, they were 1st. So you can obviously say that's more than just Kevin Durant's contributions for why the Warriors were elite, but the point still stands. And then you go to Brooklyn, and then 2021, they were 1st. 2022, they were in the top 5. I know one Kevin Durant was there, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then 23, before he got traded, they were also an elite offense. And then you go to Phoenix, and then when Kevin Durant's on the floor, elite offense. Like, there's a reason why Kevin Durant equals elite offense. It's not just, oh, he doesn't play make. And it's like, Kevin Durant out there puts defenses in such weird positions because he is 7 feet, can score from anywhere, and you have to commit resources to that type of player. It's not just, oh, he scores 27, but only gets 5 assists, so he's not as impactful as this guy who scores 27 and gets 9 assists. That's such a simple way of looking at things. And it bothers me because I'm like the biggest Steve Nash fan ever. And it's like, oh, well, Steve Nash only averaged 18 and 10. So he's not as good of an offensive player as this guy who averages 29 and 8. And it's like, well, he is. It's just, it's not, it goes beyond just points and assists when you talk about offense, which is the
100%, Moss. And that part I can get with. I think that when you think about a bucket getter, primarily, I think bucket getters have this thing attached to them where that's all they do. They don't do anything else. In terms of quote unquote gravity, not all bucket getters are the same. I mean, as good a bucket getter as Allen Iverson was, I mean, did he have the same gravity that when he had the ball that Kevin Durant has? I don't think so. I think Kevin Durant may have had a little bit more gravity just off the strength that he didn't have to do much, which means that you had to get to him quicker. You had to make quicker decisions as a defender. Allen was the guy who would do a little bit more with the ball, and he would kind of he would kind of almost give you an opportunity to get back in. KD, it's really not a lot of extracurricular nonsense. It's whether he's in transition or it's one-on-one, he gets to it. And he doesn't really give the defense an opportunity to get back in or stay in plays at all. So that tag of being a bucket getter and primarily being a bucket getter, that kind of takes away from everything else you do. And the question that I had when I asked this before was, well, if I'm primarily a bucket getter, is that more valuable when I'm getting buckets than a guy that's getting buckets plus getting off the basketball, plus getting everybody else involved, plus getting on the glass and rebounding, whether it's on the offensive or the defensive end? Is it doing that? Because when you're talking about being an all-time great, we're also talking about stuff that's we're basically splitting hairs with guys. This isn't like Joker and I don't know, Chamberlain, or exactly that's another one. Okay, sure, Joker and Nick Claxton. Okay, we're not doing that. We're talking about Joker and Chamberlain. We're talking about Shaq and Olajuwon. We're talking about these guys where a lot of this stuff is right here. So when you're talking about a guy like Kevin Durant, who is the efficient bucket getter that he is, and he affects offense as much as he does, now the tag of him being a bucket getter applies now to him just being that. Well, what else do you do, KD? What else do you do at an elite level? Because we're comparing what you do to what everybody else does, because we got guys who are also elite bucket getters too, but they do this and they do that also. Now, does that mean that Kevin Durant isn't in that conversation? No, I'm not saying that at all. It's just that when you get to that point, I feel like we're splitting hairs.
I can see that. I just think if you get to a point where, and no one has ever said this because I don't think people are stupid, but if you ever get to a point where you're like, Russell Westbrook was OKC's best offensive player because he was scoring and playmaking, but KD was just the scorer. Like, that's how they sound to me when they say KD is just the scorer. But then if I put the name Russell Westbrook to it, and not to disrespect Russell Westbrook, he was a great offensive player in his peak.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I put the name Russell Westbrook next to him and be like, so is Russell Westbrook a better offensive player than KD? Some people will just stand 10 toes and be like, yes. Stupid. And then some people who try and start doing some mental gymnastics to say, oh, well, it's different for Russ because of the efficiency and stuff. But then I would ask the same question about James Harden. Mm-hmm. And then you will find an overwhelming amount of people who would say James Harden was a better offensive player than Kevin Durant. And I'm not saying he is or he isn't. But I'm just saying, like, it gets to the point where it's like, at what point do we just start understanding the value that Kevin Durant is actually bringing to the floor, even if he's not putting up 9 assists a game? Like, I feel like we have to just understand what we're watching with certain
he
guys.
Wasn't just a shot. He was not just a shot chucker. Let's
He was
make
the
sure
opposite. He probably should have shot more. But
yeah, let's get to the bottom of that. KD was not just he wasn't just a guy who just shot chuck. No, a lot of the stuff that he did, it led to something good. There aren't many guys that I can say when they get the ball, I feel like something good's going to happen. More times than not, particularly in KD's prime, I felt like when he got the ball, something good's going to happen. I always felt like that with him. Even if it only resulted in a bucket, I just felt like something good was going to happen with him.
He was too selfless, honestly. Kevin Durant could have averaged 45 points per game anytime he wanted. He is a very selfless teammate.
Penn, the fact that he never had a 60-point game is amazing to me.
Too selfless.
He didn't need to. I mean, there was never a time that called for Kevin Durant. Like, when we was at PC Weekend, I watched that game where Kevin Durant scored 54 against the Warriors. It's the easiest 54 I ever seen in my life. It's just, transition, pull up 3. I'm going to come off this call screen elbow. Catch and shoot. Russell Westbrook collapse defense. Like, it's just so easy. It's so easy. Like, he just scores effort. Like, I think it was Carmelo who spoke about it. He said someone told him that if he wants to average 28, it's 7 points a quarter. That's Kevin Durant's life. It's just, I'm gonna score 8 points in this quarter. I'm gonna score 8 in this one. I'm gonna score 6 in this one. I'm gonna score 10 in this one. Oh, I got 32. Like, that's just what he does. It's just every quarter I'm gonna make 3 or 4 shots, and then we're gonna end. Kevin Durant had 32. It's the easiest amount of scoring I've ever seen. It's just like, it's so ridiculous that he just, we're approaching 18, 19 years now, and it's like he just scores. He just scores the basketball. But I think I've timed this out excellently because I wanted to save the last half an hour for the Rockets and Timberwolves game, and I have 5 super chats regarding it. So I'm doing an excellent job over here, if you ask me. I'm a answer the. We're gonna do the Wolves super chats first.
Second greatest host in PC history. Very, very good.
I'll take second greatest considering what's going on with our original host for now, but real ones know it's me.
Come on.
Real ones know it's me, but for this week, I'll let it slide. But Raystar, a depressed Wolves fan, said, depressed Wolves fan here again. Rob Dillingham got the goods, but I'm sorry, Julius Randle is not it. Great guy, but not a winning player for my team. And that's followed up by Marcus from 626, a very big Wolves fan. I see him in the comments all the time, saying the Wolves need a soft rebuild. This shit ain't gonna work.
Bro,
so I wanna
Julius Randle's slander is like Candyman call for Ox. It's like there was slander and Ox showed up like right away. He's like, was that a Julius stray? Yo, that's like Nick Claxton stray for me. I stepped off for 2 seconds and Chilltown started to cook. Nick Claxton, what did Nick Claxton do to get a stray there?
Respect to Nick Claxton. And then the final Wolves super chat. This one's about Jaden McDaniels. Neapolitan ice cream or Napoleon ice cream said this year the Wolves offensive rating when Jaden McDaniels is on the floor drops from 117.4 to 109.5. The defensive rating goes up from 106 to 112.7. Is this concerning or is this just L basketball? I want to start with, we'll get back to this one. I want to talk a little bit about just the Wolves in general. They're now officially below 500. They're 8-9. They've lost 3 straight. They lost to Rockets last night. They were down big, ended up making a comeback because Jock Landale was in the game. That's a whole different discussion. But then they ended up losing the game in overtime. Chill, as the one who said the Wolves are going to represent the Western Conference in the finals this year. Are you concerned?
I am very concerned, Moss. I am. I am very concerned with what I'm seeing. Their offense, it sometimes looks good and then it doesn't, and then it does look good. They were awful last night at the long ball line between the 4 of those guys. So Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle. I think he only shot 1 3 last night. But Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, DiVincenzo, and I feel like I'm leaving somebody out, but it was 4 of those guys. Just so you know, Moss, 4 for 25 on the long ball.
Nas Reed was probably the other one, I guess.
And
maybe
4 for 25 on the long ball. Anthony Edwards was extremely inefficient last night with his shot selection. I'm not even talking about just making shots with his shot selection, and I think that was largely due to Amen Thompson.
There we go.
I think Amen Thompson put a lot of pressure on Anthony Edwards. I think he pushed Anthony Edwards away from the basket, forced him into a lot of tough shots. Anthony Edwards going right and pulling up, I think that's one of his weaknesses. And I feel like Amen Thompson sat on that left hand with him, and not only did he make him go right, but pushed him away from the mid-range where he actually could have been better, pushed him away and pushed him out to the long ball line where he was off rhythm. Then guys like DiVincenzo and Jaden McDaniels should not be shooting 8 threes. He shouldn't. No way should.
No, we left him open. We left him open by design.
Yes, he shouldn't. He should not be shooting 8 threes. No, because Jaden McDaniels.
If you open, you got to shoot.
He has to shoot. They can't just create. They can't have a wide open corner 3 and then not shoot it.
He has to get better. He has to get in the lab and continue to get those shots.
29% on the season, I believe,
and knock that down. Like that's what it is. It's not that he can't. That he shouldn't shoot 8 threes. If you're standing there and nobody's closing out on you, you have to shoot the ball or you got to go sit down.
And I won't argue that, Ox. But when you come in the gym, Ox, and you getting cooking, where do you go first, Ox?
If I go to the gym, like we playing,
you in the gym, you in the gym, and we get going.
I'm running the rim.
I got to get something going, right? I got to get something going, and I got to see the ball go in the basket. I'm not efficient out here at the long ball line, and I can appreciate you guys telling me that I got to shoot when I'm open. Right, I do have to shoot when I'm open, but you know what I also can do? I can take a step in. Right? I can always take a step back. At some point, I can always take a step back, but I got to take a step in to see that ball go in the rim, and maybe take another step in to see that ball go in the rim. Because if you're leaving me open that far away from the basket, you know what else you're going to do? You're going to leave me open if I take a step in. So if I can see the ball go in once, and then I can see the ball go in another time, then I can take that step back. So if I can get closer to the basket, get going, because Mars, I know that's the game plan from Houston. The plan was to leave Jaden McDaniels wide open at the long ball line. I think I counted 4 of them.
Who's guarding Jaden, Chill?
Nobody.
Oh, well, okay. Well, look. So this is the thing. Now, if in a situation like that, so if Jaden just can't shoot the ball, right? Let's say he just can't shoot the ball. If Sengun's guarding me and he's 3-4 steps off me, I'm going at his chest. I might go at his chest, make a move to the rim, see what I can do, get fouled, get a layup, get to the free throw line. I can see that definitely. But if you're just that open, I think you have to get better. You know what I mean? I just think because I've seen Jaden McDaniels shoot the ball before. I don't think his form is crazy.
No,
I think it's just a terrible shot.
He shot 40% 2 years ago.
I think he needs to just stay in that lab and just keep getting him shots, get comfortable, do more form shooting, get comfortable, get confident, and shoot the ball. But with that being said, if it's Sengun guarding me, like if it's Jabari guarding me, I might be more apt to let me get this up. I'm gonna shoot it. Sengun guarding me, I'm getting you on your heels. You're gonna be backpedaling. I'm attacking your chest.
And for what it's worth, Jaden McDaniels did start the game shooting mid-range jumpers. He came out, he made a mid-range jumper at like the free throw line. And then he took another one like the next time down. I think he missed it. So he started off with the mid-range.
Right.
Now the issue is the threes were by design. But this is back to the analytics point. If Jaden McDaniels does what Chill says and takes the step in to get a rhythm shot, 18-foot jumper on the baseline, if he does that and misses, he's coming out the game instantly. Just with the way the game is played today, if you pass up a wide open three to take a one dribble pull up in the mid-range, to then miss, you're coming out at the next time out.
That's Coach Finch.
That's just how the game works at this point. So we might not like it. That's just what's gonna happen.
Right, but I do understand that. What I'm asking as a ball player, when I shoot the basketball, I got to get myself going. Like I can't just stand at the long ball line. And to your point, Mars, you said, because I did see that too. It was run between the foul line and the left elbow that he knocked one down. All right, so I did see that. Good. Okay, then he knocked down another one. Okay, I got that rhythm going. Now you're leaving me wide open at the long ball line. Well, I'm gonna take if I shoot one and I miss. Okay, if I'm shooting and Sengun is on me, which I mean I saw Tari Eason, and I just don't understand for the life of me why guys like Jaden McDaniel don't at 6'10" aren't more effective at the rim, considering how big he is. I mean, I can appreciate you being able to shoot, and I know what that's what the game looks like. But I don't see guys like him get to the rim and throw it over guys anymore. I haven't seen that, and I'd like to see that more from him. But that's not where I'm at. Where I am is I felt like Anthony Edwards took a lot of bad shots and threw that Minnesota team off rhythm last night. I felt like he did that, and I felt like they didn't get anything last night. I don't feel like they got anything on the long ball line from the rest of their perimeter players. Nothing. And I think that's what screwed them up. And Anthony Edwards, he's the one who set the tone with shooting last night. It was him.
To your point though, Chill, with big guys not, 6'10" guys, 6'9" guys, 6'11" guys not getting to the rim, bouncy, putting it on guys' head. Like there's no reason Sengun should be able to guard Jaden McDaniels. I know people think this about that. There's no reality where Sengun should be able to.
He shouldn't be able to cover him.
You guys hating on my guy Sengun's defense.
It's not about hating him, Mars. I got a guy that I'm a better athlete than. Sengun is not exactly fleet of foot. I got this dude 22, 23 feet away from the basket. I should be able to beat him.
These are basic basketball moves like that. There's just physically he should not be able to guard. Like right. you got to get a guy like Sengun going side to side. Like if I'm attacking Sengun straight at the chest, I could double cross, come here and spin off him. I can in and out dribble cross. There's basic dribble moves where there's no way this guy should be able to guard me this far away from the rim.
I'm gonna ask you the same question you asked about Anthony Davis. Who do you think Jaden McDaniels is?
NBA basketball player.
But I think
NBA basketball player. A 6'10" mobile guy that's as fast, as quick as Jaden McDaniels. There's no reason why he can't. You don't pin any wing player in the NBA should be able to have a double move in their bag. If I see Sengun in front of me, 2 feet away from me, I'm 6'10", I'm quick, you're cooked. There's no way that you should be able to stay in front of me. And at the worst case scenario is I'm getting to the rim with a semi-contested layup because you're recovering off of a spin.
Your handle has to be so tight to beat a set
doesn't.
defense.
No, it
does. At 6'10",
I'm telling you, it doesn't. It's not that. It's not that hard to make a double move, Pin. No, it doesn't, bro. Dribbling the basketball is not hard, bro.
Especially against a 6'10" guy.
Especially against a big guy. A big guy that's not fat, not as quick as me, not as fast as me. I have to get you going side to side.
But it's not one-on-one, Ox. If it was
right,
and
that's even better. That's even better than Pin. That means I'm creating a mismatch. I'm creating good movement. I'm bringing somebody to me. That means somebody's cutting. A better shooter should be open. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, if that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm creating something by attacking him. So either I'm getting a layup or I'm getting a dunk, or I got another guy cutting to the lane, boom, drop off right here. Or the help's coming from our weak side, and I'm attacking middle, boom, I'm throwing it to the corner. You have to create some type of movement.
No, look, in theory, yes. When I look at these two players as athletes and I see them dribbling around the court, yeah, in theory, Jaden McDaniels should be able to cook Alperen Şengün, Nikola Jokic, any slow-footed lateral big. First of all, I don't think enough respect is being given to the fact that Alperen Şengün has been much better defensively this year. First of all. Second of all, it is really difficult because the Rockets are not just going to let that happen one-on-one. They're going to make it harder than it has to be. They're not just going to leave Alperen Şengün on an island. You're going to have guys like Fred VanVleet digging into the gaps. You're going to have guys like Amen Thompson. And at that point, the question will become, has Jaden McDaniels ever shown you the type of ball skills to be able to beat a half-court defense off the dribble?
He was doing that. He was doing that in high school and college. He can dribble the ball.
NBA. So NBA,
that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I'm at.
A lot of guys can dribble the basketball against a high school defense.
It's not, bro. You can do if you got a handle, you got a handle. You don't just go to the NBA and all of a sudden, oh well, I'm in the NBA now, so I can't have a handle against him. No, it doesn't work.
Kyrie Irving was always nice with the pill.
Okay,
Kyrie's different. Kyrie's different.
Where are we going with Kyrie Irving and Jaden McDaniels? Look, what I'm trying to say is
the point that's being made is that
able to handle an NBA defense, especially a competent one like Houston, you have to be able to not only beat your man off the dribble, you need to be able to beat the help. You need to be able to do it quickly.
Who is the help guarding, Pin? Who is the help guarding?
There's a law of diminishing.
That's who gets the ball.
I don't think that Jaden McDaniels has the ball skills to do what you think he's going to do consistently. Now, if you want to say in one,
he has the ball handles.
I didn't say ball handling. I said ball skills. So ball skills.
100% has the skills.
What's the difference, Penn? What's the difference?
When I consider ball skills, I mean the acceleration, deceleration, stopping, pacing, court mapping, passing. All of these things are part of ball skills. If you are a lead initiator or secondary initiator in the NBA, you better be able to map where the help is coming from, how it's coming, who's sagging off. You better be great at understanding where your teammates are moving, because when the defense inevitably collapses on you beating Alperen Şengün, there's going to be help. And once you force help, now you need to find advantage. If you create, look, Jaden McDaniels going up against Alperen Şengün on an island 25 feet away from the basket, if there's no help, probably going to be a bad outcome for Alperen Şengün. If there's going to be help, it could probably be a turnover, which leads to transition offense, which we don't need to get into again, because I feel like we are literally going to, all lose our minds talking about that. I don't think that Jaden McDaniels is skilled enough to be a secondary ball handler. I think he is. And you can say he was in high school. Yeah. So was Cam Reddish. So was Cam Reddish.
Cam Reddish can still do it. Look, if you just don't know who Jaden McDaniels is, bro, and it's just that simple. You just don't know who Jaden McDaniels is.
Well, last night he was.
I don't know who Bobby Portis is. I don't know who Julius Randle is.
Well, all right. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm not speaking. I don't know. Maybe,
I guess I'm just stupid.
Maybe so. I don't know. You said that. I'm saying is, look, you don't know. You clearly don't know the skill set of Jaden McDaniels with the ball in his hands, attacking the basket. I'm saying he should stop bailing guys like Alperen Şengün out. I've seen. I mean, he was shooting the ball very well previously this. I don't know why the shot wasn't falling. Maybe that's why he's going. Maybe that's why
you're obviously a big who can handle the ball a little bit. Do you think you could cook Alperen Şengün off the dribble?
Today? No. I'm
in your prime.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, I'm going straight at him. Yes, Penn. Yes. If since you keep asking me this, if I think I could do this to this guy, that guy, like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm
that's
curious.
So we've come to the conclusion that you could Luka and Alperen.
Now you got me on the internet making it seem like I'm better than NBA players, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just saying, like, that's a mismatch. Yes, Penn, that's a mismatch.
You had me on the internet in the last panel talking like I had a tampon. So
and if I got him on an island, I'm attacking him, Penn. And I think any big wing, I think any 6'8", 6'9" wing should yes, you should attack him. And I 100 Penn. If I were in peak shape, 100%, I'm going at him. Yes. Now I'm not trying to say for everybody that's watching this, I'm not trying to say I'm an NBA level ball handler, basketball player. I'm not saying that, so please don't attack me in these comments. What I'm saying is that anybody with my build, my speed and agility should be able to attack Alperen Şengün on an island. And when the help comes, like you said, which inevitably will come, you have to find the open man. You have to find the cutter, because that's just good basketball. Cool. And you can't bail him out.
But at an NBA speed, I just don't think most wings can do that. I don't think Matisse Thybulle can do that. I don't think OG Anunoby can do that.
Jaden McDaniels can.
I have seen OG. OG is
a
great example. I watched OG in high school, watched OG at Indiana. OG could handle the ball a little bit. He could handle it competently on the break. But you see OG trying to collapse a defense, trying to do some star stuff, even if he has a mismatch. And OG constantly has a mismatch because he's being guarded by smaller wings sometimes, because he's usually like the third option, fourth option. And you see this guy trying to cook in the post, and you're like, man, he should be able to do something more than what he's doing right now. And of course, he scored 40 the other night. So, respect to OG. But in most cases, he just dribbles and goes nowhere. And there's a reason for that, because when you cannot score at that elite level, which is Jaden McDaniels, basically, all the defender has to do is back off 4 feet and force help. And if he's going to get beat, you're going to have to beat the second layer of the defense. And I'm trying to tell you, there's not a lot of players who can beat 2 layers of defense without a shot and without a pass.
You're that big, Penn. If you give me 4 feet of space, what you've done is you've cooked yourself. Because when I get going at you, I'm too big for you to think you're just gonna put your body on me and slow me down. That's not like, I know a lot of times people think like, oh, if I give him space because he's big, that's just gonna put you in a more of a Penn, if you got some shiftiness to you. If you're the type of player where you can dribble, if I can go side to side, if I can finish with both hands, if I can stop and pull up, if you back up, give me 4 feet of space, you have put yourself at such a disadvantage. Such a disadvantage. Maybe you're not gonna guard me like Steph Curry touching me, but you got to be able to reach out and touch me. If not, then you're just cooked, bro. Like once you spin off of somebody like that and you're big, you get on their hip. It's nothing they can do with you. Maybe some guys don't realize that when they have the ball that they actually have the advantage, but they do.
I think with most offense, if I'm a coach defensively in the NBA, and you try running your offense at all because I'm putting Alperen Şengün on Jaden McDaniels, you are falling for my trap. I want you to run your offense with Jaden McDaniels. I would love for you to run your offense through a less talented playmaker and a less talented shot maker than Anthony Edwards. That's what I want you to do. I'm baiting you to do it. I'm leaving him open so that you give him the ball every time.
I'm not advocating to run the offense through Jaden McDaniels. All I'm saying is that if Jaden McDaniels finds himself with Alperen Şengün, there's 2 things he has to do, Penn. Either he has to get confident at that line and get in the lab and continue to shoot and become a 33% three-point shooter. I don't know if that's good enough for y'all. Maybe 34, 35. I don't know. He has to,
I think that's
he has to get good enough to make people close out on him, right? But on top of that, he can't bail out Şengün out. Like he has to make him stop him and create some type of offense, bro. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying run the offense through Jaden McDaniels. No,
I hope he proves you right, but I'm trying to say this. Like there's a rule in the NBA that I have, which is if you're open, it's probably for a reason. If you're a wing that's being guarded by a center, it's probably for a reason. If you're a guard that has 8 feet of space on every jump shot you take, it's because you haven't proven you're a shooter.
It's by design,
and,
100%. Yeah,
and it's always going to be by design. And players are so talented in the NBA. No one can stop anyone one-on-one. Any talented player, Anthony Edwards cannot be stopped one-on-one. Paolo cannot be stopped one-on-one. None of these guys. I don't think Cade can necessarily be stopped one-on-one.
I don't know, Penn. The man looked like him. Amin did a good job slowing him down last night.
In the very rare cases, you will have a guy like Amin Thompson who can do a very, very good job, but also on an island in transition one-on-one, the offense always has the advantage because the offense dictates movement. Defense has to react. So you can make 7 quick moves, and the defender is going to react well to 6 of them, and then going to fall off balance on 1. It's really difficult to stop anyone one-on-one. What I'm trying to say is that, like, in the NBA is a game of trade-offs. So if you put a player, I'm a guard you because I'm going to force you to run your offense through your least efficient option. If I know you're great from the corners, I'm going to guard you in the corner. But if I know you can't shoot above the break, I'm not going to guard you above the break. Detailed scouting reports, man. You talk about scouting. Scouting is so goddamn detailed in the NBA.
Sure.
I know how many dribbles you take into your move. I know what your pet play is. I know that you like to cut. I know you like to cut backdoor on this action. I know that you have a weak left hand. I know that you can't pass with your right hand as efficiently. You often overshoot your target. All these things are very, very, well, every player is well aware of these things. So if I am designing a game plan against the Minnesota Timberwolves, I'm telling you right now, I 100% of the time, I'm going to take Jaden McDaniels trying to cook Alperen Şengün off the dribble every time. And if he scores 35 points that game, I win.
Well, speaking of we spoke on the Timberwolves and concerns and stuff and Jaden McDaniels' offense. Couple super chats pertaining to the Rockets. Masenko G said Jabari's block on Rudy was nasty. Dub Crumpet Lowry, appreciate it. Then Crumpet Lowry is me.
He looked great on the weak side. Yes, he did. And
then Justin said Amen Thompson is real good at basketball. I mean, I want to first say Jabari had a great game last night. I'm gonna give Jabari his credit. I think he had 18 points on 9 shots. So he had one of those games where it's like, oh, he didn't miss, he looked good. So once again, looking for sustainability in that, but he played well.
Fred VanVleet almost triple-double. Come on,
he was better.
No. Fred VanVleet tried to lose us the game down the stretch. I looked at the box score after the game. I was like, "There's no way this man
almost triple-double." He was on triple-double.
I don't care. Down the stretch of that fourth quarter,
I tried, Fred.
He took I want to say 4 straight pull-up threes out of pick and roll. Missed every single one. It was no comment. I didn't even know he had 27-11 till I looked.
Jabari just took good shots last night. That was it more than anything. He took really good shots. The shots that he was getting. I think he likes that right wing. That I think that's where he's the most effective in terms of him being able to knock down shots. I think he really likes that right wing, and his defense really helps his offense too. That really gets him going, especially when you guys start running in terms of hustle points. That's what I said to you yesterday, Miles, when we talked about Tari Eason. A lot of the stuff that Tari Eason does, I feel like Jabari can do it. I think the separator is the effort. I think Tari Eason gives me more effort than Jabari does, and I think it's predicated on Jabari. I think it's predicated on Jabari making a shot or two. Tari is going to do that regardless. He's going to play hard. He's going to run. He's going to dive on the floor for loose balls. Jabari, we have to get him going with the offense. Now, does that mean that he's not going to play hard? No, that doesn't mean that. I just feel like Tari's going to give me more effort despite that stuff.
We need to get Amen Thompson on the floor more. To Justin's point about Amen Thompson's real good. Last game, it was easy to get Amen Thompson on the floor because Jalen Green stunk. So there you go, Amen. There's the minutes. But just generally speaking, we have to get Amen Thompson on the floor more. He's too impactful. He's one of the best defensive wings in the NBA. He's that good. He's that good of a rebounder. His athleticism is ridiculous. He got a clutch steal late on Rob Dillingham, who I think actually had a good game. Clutch steal on Rob, took it coast to coast, finished. That was big. I think that tied the game for us. Then that ended up getting us to overtime. So that was a big deal. Anthony Edwards was in jail that whole fourth quarter. He was struggling immensely. But all of this is different. If Anthony Edwards makes that floater, that rolled in and out, like this, all this talk about, the Rockets won, the Wolves, are we scared?
That doesn't negate, Mars, that he was on lockdown. That doesn't negate.
I know, I agree. But I'm saying in terms of like the concern about the Wolves and stuff, they were literally a ball rolling around the rim away from them beating us last night. And we're not talking about, are we concerned about the Wolves? So like, it just goes to show like how quickly things can change. Right. But overall, Amen Thompson has to start playing more. We play the Sixers tonight. I expect Amen Thompson to be a big part of the rotation. I expect Jalen Green to play trash again, so I expect Amen Thompson's minutes to be high. And sooner rather than later, he's going to be in the starting lineup. He just has to be. Like, he's that good. Like I'm keep saying it. If there was a redraft of last year's draft, I'm taking him number 2. That's what I'm doing.
I think it's
biased, but
I think it's interesting that people talk about the Julius Randle effect, even though, I mean, watching him last night, he created a lot of open looks. Like a lot of the stuff that they got at the long ball line, a lot of the stuff that they got on the wing, Julius Randle created that. A lot of it. The problem was that they weren't converting on that stuff. And because they weren't converting on it, it make it look like now Julius Randle has to do more. Julius Randle has never been like a 27 or 28 guy. He's what you saw last night from him, 21-9. That's what Julius Randle is. He's like a 19 to 21 a game guy. That's him.
With terrible defense, I don't know how much that's worth. But I mean,
here's the thing. That effort on defense, that's always been an issue. Always been an issue. The effort on defense, because he can actually play defense, and I don't appreciate that effort at all. And when I saw that last night, I was like, "That's some bullshit, Jules." That is, you got to give me better effort on defense because this team is trying to go somewhere. This team is trying to win. And you got better effort from Cat last year. You got better effort from Rudy. You got better effort from these guys on the wing, and that resonates with you. If you're not getting effort, that's going to resonate with the rest of the. That starts with you. It's going to resonate through the rest of the crew. You got to give us better effort, and if you're not going to give us better effort, you got to get off the floor, man. You do. You got to get off the floor. I can appreciate your 21. I can appreciate your 22 and 9 and 8 or 9 rebounds, but that effort on defense consistently, that's not good enough, man. No, that's not. It's not good. And I'm a Julius Randle guy. If any of y'all know me, y'all know I'm a Julius Randle guy.
But yeah, so for anyone who wants a summary of today's episode, Lakers and Timberwolves, concerning. Rockets and Suns, nice. There you go. That's the summary of today's show. Also, Cooper Flag, nice. There you go. That's the summary of today's show. But
Cooper Flag somewhere in between Gerald Wallace and Larry Bird.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So fair, and then to wrap it up, this is the final super chat. It's a question for you, Ox. So you got the floor.
Me. Wow.
Yeah, NP13 said, what % of starting level wings can attack closeouts and make secondary playmaking reads efficiently enough that it's a viable offensive play for a contending team?
Well, the percent of guard wings that can do that, I have no idea. I wouldn't pretend to know that. But I will say this. If you are a wing, you're a professional basketball player, and if you're a wing between the size of, let's say, 6'4" to 6'10", and you're a professional basketball player, mind you, and you can't attack a closeout and either get to the rim, stop and pop, kick it to a cutter, or find a wide open player, then not only should you not be on the floor, but you're not a very good basketball player.
Damn, so PJ Tucker just wasn't a good basketball player.
I mean, I know the question's for Ox. I think if I had to estimate the percentage, it's less than 25%. Competent. 25 to 30%.
And y'all say this NBA is the most skilled it's ever been.
So let me because we got 2 minutes. I'm gonna go 2 minutes. I'm just gonna start naming random wings. I wanna ask Penn if you think they can do that at a high enough level. Max Strus.
At a high enough level for a contending team for it to be like, I'm giving it to him.
At a high enough level, this is not difficult stuff.
To be something that's like, our offense is cooked because we need Max Strus to make a decision.
But this isn't next level. That's basic. I'm just trying to.
Get a baseline. So
Max is on the fringe. He's got enough ball. Lou Dort, no.
I don't think you're giving these guys enough credit.
Kyle Anderson.
Yes, 100%. Yes,
he's a great passer.
I think Kyle Anderson too. Santi Aldama.
He's not a wing. He's a big.
He's 6'10", so that's why I put him in the category.
Well, but I was saying if you're a wing, if you're a wing.
John Contra.
No.
Jalen Wells.
Yes.
Grayson Allen.
Yes. Grayson King.
Yes. Sure.
Royce O'Neal.
No.
Yes.
PJ Washington.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, can you flash the super chat again? Can we just see it? Like what? I just want to be clear.
Read it again.
What % of starting level wings can attack closeouts and make secondary playmaking reads efficiently enough that it's a viable offensive play for a contending team?
Basically, they're asking which one of these guys can play basketball.
Yeah.
What starting level? It's more than 25. I retract my not starting level. Okay.
There we go. Okay.
In terms of wings overall in the league, yeah, that's probably closer to 30% though.
Come
But
on,
yeah,
man.
like-
You're not
There
giving
we go.
these guys enough credit, man.
We got an answer, man, and that brings us to the end of the show for today. So we will be back tomorrow, and then Friday we are back for Black Friday. We've seen the trailer earlier. We got a lot in store for you guys on Black Friday. I'm looking forward to it. But for today, I think it was a good show. I think it was
Wait,
productive.
Mars, we not podding tomorrow?
I said we're back tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I think-
Lock in, man. Lock
bad.
in.
Someone
fella.
said
Where you at, big fella? Where you at right now?
My bad.
Are you waiting on that turkey? That's what I because
Yeah,
Big Ox
he
Big
just-
Ox sound like he get on
just
that
thinks
turkey.
someone
Well,
said
we
music
might
is
not be. I
Tchaikovsky.
wouldn't mind the day off. I know how much Thanksgiving means to people. I wouldn't mind the day off. We might have to talk to HR. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's a big holiday for a lot of people. If they want to, if we want to take the day off, I think we're entitled to. I'm just saying. The NBA gets the day off. Maybe we should too. But that's for HR to decide. So we might be back tomorrow. I don't know.
I got a problem coming to work. I don't have
but
a problem coming to work. But if you told me that I don't have to be here tomorrow, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. HR, just saying. But
I'm coming to work.
I'll
man.
happily
It's
go
I am
on
too.
and just
$3
talk about
I
gravity for 3
I am
hours
too.
until everyone falls
I need my
asleep.
money.
hey, man, if they want to give me the day off, they want to give me the day off. That's what I'm saying. But we will see you guys on Friday for sure, and we'll probably see you guys.
I'm not using my PTO.
Oh, for sure. But Merry Christmas, guys. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas to you.